to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down Infamous.
Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on the forum.
And this is Parker. Go by Tweak on forums.
This is Jeremy. I just have to say She-Hulk is disgusting. Let's just move on.
Spoilers, Jeremy! They're not going to hear that till an hour later.
Ugh, brace yourselves, folks.
You're piercing the veil, Jeremy.
God damn it.
Foreshadowing. That's called foreshadowing.
There you go.
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Was it Chekhov's gun?
Yeah.
When we just never get back to it.
Yeah.
They don't understand what's
Yeah.
happening.
In media res.
All right.
Basically is what this is.
Is Chekhov's gun when you don't come back to it, or when you do come back to it? Because Chekhov's gun is like when you're like walking through someone's house and you look over and you're like, oh, that's an interesting rifle. He's like, yes, my father used that in a duel. And you're like, oh, okay, so we're obviously going to bring that up later.
Okay, so
But I can't remember. It's if they don't bring it up later, it's Chekhov's gun.
right, no,
it is. If
it
they
is.
do.
The idea is Chekhov's gun is only every important element of the story should be available somewhere in the story, so it
Okay,
actually belongs in it. So like if you
So theoretically, no matter how convoluted, you were given the tools to figure this out. You're just dumb. is the
or
concept.
it kind of the famous one is that the gun is that if somebody shoots a gun, the gun should have been there to be shot. It's not like they just pulled it out of their pocket. It's like it was on the wall or it was in a drawer, something like that.
It's like when a guy's going to shoot someone in an alley, they always get out of their car and then check the gun to let you know that they have it.
Right.
And so that way you're ready for the event.
It's also why in every scene ever where a spy fights another spy, he always like kicks a table and then shoots out of the table and he grabs it from underneath a countertop or something. There's always a secret holster somewhere in a drawer or something. Like that's Chekhov's gun, right? They always show you that it was there, ready to be used, not just whipped fancy style.
Deus Ex Machina, I reach in drawers and find guns.
The famous example that I always point to is I'll just say this right now. I always say it out loud before I ever trash talk it. I love Star Trek, but
Wait, which Star Trek?
the Star Trek. I don't care. But
Which one?
the
There's
concept of it.
the original?
I like.
Oh, okay. Do you just like sci-fi stuff?
Yeah, I just like. I really like. I really appreciate Star Trek, but there's no pockets in those fucking suits. They pull out guns all the time. That's an example of but that is a classic example of like not Chekhov's gun, right? Like there's no pockets. There's some in some of the later ones they had holsters and stuff, but in a lot of times all of a sudden they just pull out a thing in their hand and then it's shooting a phaser or whatever.
They do the hip draw motion, but the camera cuts off at like the abdomen, and you're like, "Where did the gun come from?"
Right. So that's
previous screenshot. There's just like he's wearing a onesie, and you're like, "Where did you get the gun?"
Yeah. In TNG, I noticed they started to like hold rifle versions or had holsters on their hips, but for a lot of the content in the whole Star Trek, it often just like appears out of nowhere. So Chekhov's gun is something that some mythos just doesn't use. They don't care.
They created the video game logic. You just pull it out of like pushing up on the control pad. Oh look!
Pulls out Great Cleaver out of backpack.
Oh look!
Yeah. I appreciate that some of the newer video games have started, like, you kind of put it on your back, but you have, like, 6 weapons and it only puts 1 on your back. And you're like, hold on.
Grand Theft Auto has no Chekhov's gun. It's just like...
Oh, right. I know, because if you hit the right number of buttons, you just drop a tank on somebody, and you're like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Dude, I was so excited when I got a PS2 and I got to play Grand Theft Auto 3. I would literally just, like, smart weapon target drop tanks on people's heads when I figured out the cheat codes. Because I was just moving to the, because it always dropped in the same place. I was like walking down the street. I'm like, I'd wait for the cop to get like on the X marks the spot and just like hit the buttons and a tank just drops out of the sky and crushes him. I'm like, got you, motherfucker. 0 stars. Like, anyway, announcements. This has been going very well so far.
Oh, yes.
This is going to be a great podcast.
Yeah. We have one announcement today. Parker, can you guess what it is?
Probation!
Your probation continues. You have 11 episodes left on probation.
I'm feeling really lucky about this series of probations.
Yeah.
I'm feeling really lucky about it.
Hey, guess what happens when you run out of probation episodes?
Don't I go on like some sort of watch, right? Like a watch series?
No, you have to shave your head.
Wait. So this is like a countdown to a punishment?
Yes.
I didn't know that's the way probation. What a horrible
tough.
system of probation.
It really
It's just
is
like
hard.
you're on probation, but at the end of this probation, you go back to jail. Wait,
It's
what?
very difficult. No one feels good about it, Parker.
Yeah.
No one feels good.
Oh,
about
I feel
it.
good.
No,
I feel very
least-
good about
least
it.
of all
I'm
me.
the one that determines the amount of probations.
Least of all me.
All right, Parker.
I love.
As part
I
of
love
your
that idea.
probation, you have to do the news.
Okay, news. News.
News.
All right. First off, this podcast is brought to you by the June release extravaganza. There will be so many releases in June.
Hold on. You're forgetting that the majority of our listeners are in Singapore. And that's not true for Singapore.
That's true. So
Singapore listeners, shout out.
So I will say that this podcast, will get a lot of releases. It's the
U.S.
Yeah, the U.S. So U.S. is going to see a lot of releases this month. So we got a whole lot of stuff lined up down the chute. Kraven, Lizard, Spider-Man, Black Cat, Deadpool, Taco Truck with Bob, and Cable and Domino. So just like whole factions worth of stuff.
I love the credits. Like when you know how they do that weird like make shit up with the credits where it's like, well, we're not going to go alphabetically. This guy's going first because he's the most famous. Then we'll go alphabetically. But then the second most famous person will be at the end with also with or and like, why do you get the and?
Yeah.
It's like, but I like how the taco truck was second billing to Deadpool
Yeah.
and then Bob was third.
Yeah. Carnage is...
You also,
Go ahead.
I don't know if you said, it is Carnage and Mysterio as well.
Carnage and Mysterio. That's right. I thought Carnage and Mysterio.
Carnage and Mysterio, because the two 115s have to come together. It's a law.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're also getting the apartment building, the three-story
right.
apartment building.
Yeah.
Do you think they will give us a panel to play on Deadpool?
I think they'll give us a
Or-
panel to play on the apartment building.
Oh, okay.
And it will be able to do 5 damage to people depending on the timing.
Oh my!
Which may
God.
include up to a long move.
Yeah.
Nice.
If anyone's unfamiliar, we're very upset about the Kraven panel to play.
That's
Jeremy got to do his first panel to play last week, and he sounded like an idiot today. When
God
it wasn't
damn it.
anything close to what the card said.
you know. Let's go ahead and go there. Let's go ahead and go there. Craven card.
Oh, we're gonna go there.
So we got the Craven card. We know what Craven does, and it's so close to the panel to play. It's eerie. It's eerie. And that so. It's so close to the panel to play.
I don't prefer the term eerie. I prefer the term lies.
Yeah.
But go ahead with what you were.
It's an
gonna
incredible coincidence. That panel to play they wrote about a character is so close to Kraven the Hunter. So Kraven is a 3-cost. He has 5 health in the front, 5 health in the back. He has 3 defense in all areas. He has 2 interesting strikes. They're a little bit different. So his first strike is a physical range 2, 5 dice, and it gives him only 1 power. It does automatically bleed and has a wild elusive, so he can advance short after making that strike. His other strike is also free. It gives him power for each damage dealt. It's range 3 and 4 dice. If he has already attacked a character during his activation, his Kukri strike, he adds 3 to the dice roll. And if the character has advanced or been placed during its activation this turn, after the attack is resolved, he can then move medium. So I want to talk about both of them before we kind of talked about it, because they kind of go together in this weird way.
I understand that, but real
Jeremy,
quick.
Yeah.
Which one was 12 dice?
You see, the 12 dice comes from adding them both together and then also doubling it. That's where we get to.
Well, no, it's to add 3, right? So if he's,
I know.
Yeah.
So 12 dice. Okay, go ahead. I feel.
Well, I do like where they kind of learned their lesson from Valkyrie here, where they gave a cheap character the ability to put out a lot of attack dice with very little restrictions on how, and then so they're trying to get away from that. And so the spear thrust being range 3 is really nice. It's very similar to is it spider techniques on Ghost Spider? her basic attack where she gets to, if she's already moved, she gets to move again. If she's already attacked, she gets to add dice.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar to that attack, but because it's range 3, you generally won't want to move to use it. You'll use it when you're within range, but you have to do the Kukri strike to get the extra dice.
Right.
And so you basically have to be within range 2 to get your big dice, even though he has a range 3 attack.
So, just really quick, let me ask you this. If I spend enough power, can I then roll 12 dice?
Yes.
Perfect.
As long as you're also playing a different character.
God damn it. I knew it.
Well, technically,
all right, Parker, go ahead. Jesus
I was going to say,
Christ.
so, okay, for clarification, it said in his panel to play, it very obviously intuited in his panel to play that he was going to do a 12 dice attack if you met certain conditions. But this is not true. You'd have to do all of his attacks. But if he does all of his attacks in a certain order, and he does Expert Tracker, so Expert Tracker is one of his powers. He costs 3. It says choose an enemy character. Allied characters roll 1 additional attack dice when targeting the chosen character with attacks this round, and that works on himself because he's his own ally. So, is he his own ally? Is that the way the game works?
I think the real question is he his own grandpa?
Right. So, is he his own ally?
Yes, he is his own ally.
So then, Expert Tracker, couldn't you do what that would be 14, right? If he
That's correct. They didn't get any of the math correct. That is
right.
That is correct.
So it's 12 under certain conditions or 14 maximum. So in all ways, the panel to play was misleading and inaccurate.
Yeah.
He has another.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Real quick, whoever wrote this, is there an author like title on this? Like, do we know who wrote this? Is it different than the person who normally does it? Because this one seemed intentionally vague and misleading for no apparent reason.
No, I don't see any.
Can we contact the editor?
I don't want to say he needs to be destitute, but he definitely should not be allowed to post these anymore.
Yeah.
This
his
is
other active
very
power.
upset.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, this is classic, like, old-timey newspaper stuff.
Yeah.
Where, edited, contact the editor, Mr. So-and-so. Last week, you said, ...
Right. So, his other active power, Corner of the Beast, choose an enemy character within range 3 of him. Until the end of its next activation, each time the chosen character advances or climbs, it suffers 1 damage. If the chosen character has the Wall Crawler superpower, it loses Wall Crawler until the end of the next activation. Finally, he has a passive ability where he rerolls 1 dice on all attack or defense rolls, not dodges, just attack and defense. I'll say this real fast. Beyond the fact that his panel to play was wildly inaccurate, this character, I really, really like him. I really, really, really like him.
So I think it's interesting that he doesn't have a spending attack.
Yes.
And I don't think a lot of people have really put a lot of thought into that, but not having to spend to do your attacks is pretty cool.
That's exactly what I thought. The first thing I thought is, oh my gosh, he has 2 attacks. They're not terribad. And so he's only gaining power from his attacks. He can actually get up pretty high. He was only ever going to physical, but with Expert Tracker, he's supporting damage. With Corner of the Beast, he might be doing extra chip damage. He has an auto bleed and Corner of the Beast. So if you bleed someone and they try to double move, they're taking 3 damage. If they don't remove the bleed and they double move. So
why wouldn't they just kill you?
What?
Instead, why wouldn't they just attack you? Why would you double move away intentionally taking damage? It's not like surprise you take damage.
No,
they know it happens.
No. I'm saying.
Okay.
But he's the hunter, right? So like the idea is you can't get away from him. So it's not a trap. You're not saying you have to stay here, but you are saying if you don't stay and fight me, if you want to go do something else, you're taking 3 damage.
So he's the biggest problems I see with him is, first of all, he's not very mobile. Like, he has elusive on his short range attack, which is not ideal. He has no other movement abilities unless he's already in melee with you, basically. Mm-hmm. And so his mobility becomes once he's closed the gap, which is obviously his big weakness. But yeah, if you see this guy running at you and he gets up to you and corners the beast, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I should probably just fight you right here or not. Like, there's plenty of abilities that move people away. Like, lots of people have throws or pushes or mind control effects. So I don't know that he's actually going to be very good, but I think he's a cool, interesting design space. And he's clearly designed to try and take out Web Warriors.
I really, really like what you just said there about like design space. I think it's a really cool idea. When I say I like this character, I do not mean I want to put him in all my lists, because that is not. I don't think he is better at certain things than the characters I already like. But I just like what they did. I like what they chose to do.
Well, if you think about it, they hit their design space really great, because Kraven is pretty much a throwaway villain that's terrible.
Yeah,
and he's definitely in that design space.
I love,
because there's just, the further we go down this line, web warriors are getting more and more fighty people, and so he's gonna get there and it just gets ass beat. And you're like, why am I here? He's like, surprise, Amazing Spider-Man! Do. It's like he's just laying on the ground.
I love that he is in the comic books. That what he is like all bluster, right? He like runs in there and goes, "I will kill you now, Amazing Spider-Man," and then he just gets punched in the face every time. I love that he doesn't have a spending power. Like, he doesn't have a big like all you've got kind of I'm going to do this amazing cool super ability. Like, no, I'm just going to swing my fist and stab you and spear you, and I'm going to try not to die, but I'm probably just going to die.
He's just dollar store Killmonger. That's all he is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it becomes interesting if he tags somebody with the his special ability, that the extra dice against them, and also the dog tags them too. I mean, you can melt pretty tough models with that. I mean, if you're going for attrition and just trying to beat people to death, it might be interesting. It's something. I mean, he's only 3 points.
Well, yeah. No, he's solid because he's 3 points. Anytime you have a 3-point option, they become a lot more viable because they fit into a lot of places. Mm-hmm. I do kind of wish and this always happens in every game, especially low points games, I wish we were like doubling the point scale. And so like 6-point models were 12 points, and add a little bit more gradients. So, cause like Valkyrie would clearly be like a 2.5-point model or a 3.5-point model equivalent. And so she would be a little bit more expensive than someone like Iron Man. And so like it'd let you kind of find a more gradient spot to put these people in. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't have like Ebony Maw at 5 points, who's clearly not worth 5 points.
It's interesting to say Kraven. It's also Kraven and Lockjaw might be buddies in most lists, because Lockjaw can actually teleport him there, and then he doesn't have to spend movement. He can actually start stabbing people. He can hang out with the dog and give the dog 6 power by turn 2, and then he can maybe go in and do his thing. That could be cool.
It's just so hard to put any sort of credit on a model that doesn't move another model. Like, if you can't do anything about a model being on a point or take an objective or like none of there's so much of that in the game now that this dude really has got to do some damage. Like, he needed that 12 die attack. Even when we thought it was a single attack, we weren't like, this guy is going to be awesome. We're like,
yeah, we were like, that'd be interesting.
Know. So,
he must be bad at everything else if he's
exactly.
got a 12 attack.
But at least he had
that.
that.
I thought it was gonna be some kind of like choose a prey at the beginning of the game, and if it's like you start your turn engage with them, get +4 dice on your next attack or something like.
But
that was gonna be something like that.
We don't know that there's not a tactics card that says exactly that.
Right.
There you go.
We don't know, but I feel like that would have been in the panel to play as, hey, his tactics card does this, because they've basically been doing that in the past. I think this is the first time we've had a panel to play that didn't mention tactics cards at all, at least recently. But anyway, even with all the cool stuff he seems to do, like exactly what Jeremy said, he moves 0 models other than himself. And even on himself, he has very limited moving. And so, like, why wouldn't you choose someone like Valkyrie instead, who is much better at moving herself and can actually move other people?
Yeah.
Yeah, how can you use this model to actually win a game of Marvel Crisis? Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't think he does that for you. He just inserts a space that no one cares about.
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't prevent people from placing, so if you run up and corner the beast on Miles, he just spends 2 power and leaves.
Yeah.
Like
That's true.
Amazing Spider-Man does too.
Right, this is got, and then and all the other people just impact webbing him.
Yeah,
like that's what I'm saying. Like, it sounds great, but it doesn't actually stop anybody.
But that is exactly Kraven. He sounds great,
exactly.
but he doesn't actually do anything.
He only wins when you don't expect him.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to characters that do look interesting and promising, perhaps, and are amazing models. The Lizard. So we had his panel to play. He has apparently decent, quote-unquote, stamina and defensive stats. We're going to talk about one of the defensive thing he has a little bit later in it, but we know one of his attacks is called Cold-Blooded. Cold-Blooded. Hitting at Strength 7.
Nope.
If Cold-Blooded inflicts damage, the target also suffers bleed and slow. So that's just cool. Just straight up bleed and slow on a Strength 7 attack.
If it does damage?
Yeah, just damage.
Okay, well, it has to do damage, though, so
yes.
It's not guaranteed, but good.
Right. So we also know that he apparently can hit people with his tail. We don't know what that does yet, but it's probably his basic strike. He has something called Biochemical Breakthrough, which is a power that lets him pick up and throw characters of size 3 or smaller. So he's got a throw. But the biggest thing about Lizard is the they're near the end of his panel to play. They just kind of tag this on at the end. They go, oh yeah, and by the way, he has Healing Factor 1 and DR 1. And you're like, whoa, wait, what? I love that the panel to play was, look at this cool, he's a lizard. He's all this cool stuff because he's a lizard. Also, he has Regen 1 and Damage Reduction 1. But anyway, Lizard. You're like, wait, what was that last part? Lizard. No, I believe there's Damage Reduction.
Now, this is going to be another they lied to us moment. The actual wording they use is adding to his skin acts as natural armor, letting him reduce any damage he suffers by 1.
Uh-huh. They didn't say
so he has Thanos damage reduction?
Probably.
He has better than Thanos damage reduction. Because Thanos only works against enemy effects. It doesn't stop bleed and scenario damage. So he has better damage reduction than Thanos, or this sentence is incorrect. There is no leeway there.
Well, come on, guys. Every single panel to play has been completely airtight in terms of accuracy.
They actually have been pretty close. Like, they haven't been glaring mistakes before.
Right.
Like, this has been... Like, the last one, and in defense of the last one, technically nothing they said was incorrect.
Right.
Which is why I'm pointing this out, because this is blatantly wrong. Any damage means any damage, and so if he has a whole new ability that's better than Thanos, this guy's going to be a knockout. I don't care if he costs 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
Being immune to, like, the fucking cube damage, can you imagine that? He has 5 cosmic cubes and he takes 0 damage for it? That'd be fucking insane.
Sounds pretty good. I'm going to hold him with that. I would like to order 5 of them.
Yeah. I'm going to file a lawsuit. No, but for real, I obviously I hope that's not true because that would be really overpowered, I think.
He sounds pretty legit, like his stats and everything. What faction does he fall into, you think? Like, where does he go?
What?
You
mean where can you play him, not what affiliation is he going to be in?
Yeah.
I was like, he's obviously Spider-Foes.
Well, yeah.
Brandon and I were actually talking about him with Asgardians. Like, that would be mean.
Uh-huh.
Like, if he can heal and remove stuff on top of Healing Factor and DR, like, that's really mean attrition piece if he's got Thor's team ability. That's mean.
Uh-huh. I haven't thought of that. He seems like he's really legit. Like, he seems like he could be another, like, contender for, like, top 10. If depends if he's like 5 points or 4 points or like where that actually his DR actually exists.
I feel the need to point out that exceptional healing just says model with healing factor.
Mm-hmm.
And so he also has that available,
Yep.
which is really silly.
100%.
He's got a lot of good stuff. It'd be nice to find another model that kind of like changes the dynamic of the game that's not Angela. Like, oh, like, boom, a new model exists. Like, okay, let's make that again. Let's do something like that again, but different.
I feel like every time someone tells me about a list they saw online, it's like Angela and or Advanced R&D.
Yeah, exactly.
And the entire point is to get a 2-point scenario advantage. And they're like, and then you win the game. I'm like, do you not, like, that's not how that works if you play people that, like, know how to play the game.
Yeah, I would like to see some. I like to imagine he's a meta-changing model in that he does some things that are important in lots of different lists. That'd be cool.
I bet he's I expect him to be a 4-cost, and because he's a 4-cost, I think he's gonna compete with so many different 4-costs that belong in the lists. He's gonna be one of those. I think he's gonna be on that same level like Wolverine, Sabretooth, Venom. These like super strong characters that can really go almost anywhere, that have really great effects, but they have to compete with, just getting in the faction and keeping your faction bonus. And so I don't know if you'll see him everywhere, but I think he's going to be on that level.
I think he's going to be in the same general space as Black Dwarf. And so he's probably gonna hit like a truck. He's gonna be a stat brick, just like someone that you do not want to deal with over the course of the game. But he's probably gonna have really struggling times to impact the game beyond, hey, look, I'm standing here. And so I think that's why he will probably not become like a mainstay model. But I know I'm going to play him because I also like Black Dwarf. So
when was the last time you played Black Dwarf?
Is that
don't start.
Last time I played Black Order, I played Black Dwarf.
When was that?
2019. 2 months ago. No.
Late 2019.
Nope.
Just saying. Shave your head.
I'm gonna go with May. How's May sound?
Although, but my last favorite part of it is every single time I use his attack, I will be singing Cold Blooded. Cold Blooded. Because I think that's awesome.
I'm unfamiliar with this song, apparently.
It's Rick James.
That's probably why.
Okay. So.
Is that it? We got more?
We got more panel to play. One more panel to play. Hot off the presses. Beep, 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 hot off the presses. And this is actually, listeners, this is Jeremy's first exposure. He has no idea what Captain America Sam Wilson does. So we now know we have Sam Wilson's panel to play. He is Cap. So we know a couple things about him from the panel to play. First of all, he's got a vibranium shield attack. That's all they said. That he can bounce. He can throw the ones. He said it'll be like Steve Rogers, but he doesn't have Red Wing. So Red Wing is his other attack. It's a Strength 6 attack, and it throws short. After Red Wing's target lands, Sam immediately moves within range 2. So it'll throw your opponent, and Sam gets to move. So that'll probably be a pay for attack. We know what the new team ability is for Avengers, called All New, All Different. Even when odds turn against them, the Avengers can win the day. So the way it works is when Sam or one of his allies is dazed or KO'd, another Avenger can immediately remove 1 damage and any special conditions, then make a short move. So basically, 3 what would be like 4 to 6 times a game. Your characters will heal 1, remove special conditions, and make a short move. For the low cost of being dazed or KO'd.
It has no cost on it, right?
It just happens. And it just says one of your friendlies. So maybe I don't think there's a range.
Most leadership abilities are just global,
so
any ally.
At first when I read this, I was like, so in every card game or video game I've ever played, any ability that works while I'm losing is just very low value. It's a very low value thing because it's not proactive, meaning I'm not getting value from the leadership ability over any point of the game until I begin to lose. In this game, I should get dazed and KO'd, like it should happen, I guess. But is this? I feel like this is really bad because it just fits into that. My first impulse was this is bad because it immediately went into that category of you're getting something for losing, which is generally just bad in every game because you're getting no proactive value of it. You're not looking to see it until maximum turn 2, usually turn 3. Is this just really bad?
I don't think it's really bad. I thought it was really bad until you said or move short. That helps a lot because you can do some stuff like if someone comes in and they're expecting to be able to daze you and then move on to another person. Or maybe even throw you into somebody and someone gets dazed, all of a sudden you can affect positioning. Anything that lets you change the board positioning during your opponent's turn is good. Very good. The problem being that you have to start losing characters for that to matter.
Well, to be fair, it's not an or. You remove 1 damage.
No, you do both.
Any special conditions and make it short.
I know.
3 effects. You could be doing a whole lot of power's worth of stuff to do this. It
is basically just the Asgard affiliation that is only triggered when someone gets dazed or KO'd, but also you get to move short. So it's much harder to trigger, but you have a nice extra effect on it.
Can you daze yourself? I think that's key here.
Well, you can. It's just really hard.
No, I'm saying if you can.
Isn't there a card that does that for you?
Yes, there is. So if all you got, you can really put yourself in a crazy spot if that's exactly how that works. I mean,
what do you mean put yourself in a crazy spot?
So if all you got, then someone can move. Then you go again. If Ghost Rider happens, then you can move Ghost Rider. Like, there's things that happen that can be funky. You can move
Ghost Rider, but all
Ultron?
you got, the character getting dazed can't do anything.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of the weird exceptions.
Ultron is terrible.
Nah, I get it. But there's exceptions that always happen with these daze/KO things. I'm just thinking.
Check some stuff. Pretty sure.
I'm with Parker, though. Initial read, I was like not impressed. That's why I didn't remember
Not overly impressed. The thing is, though, it's basically he's all about positioning, and Other Cap is all about survivability, and so it's just different.
To go along with that positioning bit, the only other thing we got spoiled in this panel to play is that he has the ability called Airlift, so he can pick somebody up by the shoulders and drop them. Basically, it's a reactive superpower that lets Sam move an allied character within range 2 at the start of an advance to within range 2 of its current position. So basically, if a character is starting next to Sam when he moves, he can reactively spin the superpower. That character immediately moves within range 2 of its current position. So it doesn't have to go with Sam or be placed near him or anything like that. It just moves.
So Sam spends 2 moves, and then the other character can spend or just moves.
It does not say how much it costs. It does not say. It just says reactive power.
It's the first half of drop off.
I'm going to tell you right now.
2.
It's 2.
What you told me before is you can't fucking remember anything that was on his card.
It was 2. That one was 2.
All I know about Sam Wilson is he's very forgettable, which sounds right based on what I know about Sam
Correct.
Wilson.
So he has the mini ability to place a model too. Ta-da.
Of that model's current position or of his current position?
That model's.
Are you sure?
That's what it says.
This is pretty ambiguous wording right here.
No, it's not. It says range 2 at the start of an advance within range 2 of its current position.
Who's its?
Obviously the model.
What's the formatting of terminology in blog posts, Parker?
12 dice, goddammit. 12 dice.
12 fucking dice.
It's
12 fucking dice.
The object pronoun of its is the allied character.
I believe you're correct, but it would be far from the weirdest thing we've seen in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So if it places it within 2 of its current position, that seems fine for an ability. I mean, he's clearly better than Cyclops and probably worse than, I don't know, Miles.
No, there's one thing I don't like about it, which is it does require that reactive superpower also requires him to move, so it costs an action also.
No, well, I mean, the whole point is that he's already moving, but yeah. But it doesn't work on places, I would assume. So
there's one thing I was really expecting out of this character is I thought he was going to give us a scenario piece in Avengers, because it's been very like steady. You know, they got an initial release for the faction that was a scenario. And so then they later got like a fighty version, or they had a fighting and engaging attrition style, and then they got a scenario focused style. And so since A Day Unlike Any Other, original Cap's power was greasing the wheels for more attrition play, maybe. I guess it's really ubiquitous because you can also do powers that do affect like throwing and Enchantress stealing and stuff like that. So maybe they just decided that Captain America's was so ubiquitous that the Sam Wilson Captain America also needed to be kind of, but it's really an attrition piece, I guess. So
I think if you can go wide Avengers pretty easily now and use that. I think that might be really good. Like all of a sudden, like 2 and 3 point characters all over the place. You can go pretty wide pretty quickly and suddenly be wherever you want to be. And that's a problem. Your opponent can't even plan their freaking turn. Like, your models aren't going to be where they need to be.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems mostly unimpressive to me, but I've never been a big Falcon fan, so it seems okay. He's not as bad as I feared he would be based on what we've seen, and he's not as good as I had hoped he would be, so it's like somewhere in the middle.
The little place thing kind of seems very X-Men-y, like being able just to put a model somewhere, move them. That's pretty cool. I mean, that's obviously good.
Well, is it X-Men-y just because they did it first, or is it like thematically X-Men?
But it's not X-Men. Cabal did it first, right? Isn't that just Red Skulls?
Yeah, Red Skull did it first.
True.
And it's all and also Medusa. Medusa does the same thing. Like there's so many characters in the game that already do that. And
I don't respect any of those models.
Okay.
Medusa's does it better than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's
That's okay. It's just a
Avengers,
random
so,
ability.
Okay.
Well, that's fine. This ability is clearly better than Cyclops's because you have to play Cyclops to use that, and that's terrible.
Listen, Scott is horrible. First off.
I'm glad that we all agree, and now we don't have to listen. Because just imagine if Cyclops was the good leader in X-Men, how often we would have to hear about Cyclops because of Parker.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, we should be thanking Atomic Mass for saving us from that hell that would have been.
I agree. I would have spent so much energy.
Just like, yeah, instead of doing Captain America everything, you would have been Scott Summers everything.
Yeah, it would have been everything starts with Cyclops and then the rest of the list.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's
I actually like his kit. He's just not a 4-point character.
Yeah.
No. For 3, he'd be everywhere.
Yeah. And he doesn't do anything crazy. Like, he'd be fine for 3 points. Maybe take a die off of his big attack, but like it's not like his freaking stats are crazy. Like he's clearly terrible at 4.
He really is. They missed that
just
one.
Just swap the leaderships. I mean, swap leaderships or swap the point totals. Like it doesn't make sense.
Well, there it is. That's your news.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest misses they've had in this game. In order of failures, there is Ebony Maw, Craven Panel to play, Scott Summers.
I'll actually go out on a limb and say the entire X-Men faction. It's just Storm saves them so hard. Just that one card saves them so hard because she is so tilted.
I don't think it's ever fair to rate a 4-character faction and say that they've missed on the faction. That's pretty rough.
I'm rating it based upon Scott Summers and the tactics cards. That's where I get that.
Okay, so the tactics cards are widely hot garbage, but that's just because you have no incentive to play X-Men characters.
I think they're bad
if
you play X-Men
Children
characters.
of the Atom is actually really cool.
Cool, yeah, cool. Super cool. Bad card.
No, I think it's also useful. Like there is times you would want to play that card. No, it's not amazing. First Class is fine. It's just not great. To me, my X-Men is dumb, stupid, and irrelevant. And what's their other card? They have another one, don't they?
They have Brace for Impact and
yeah. It's...
No, there's another one.
No, those are the 3. Those are it. That's it.
There's only 3?
Children of the Atom, First Class, and To Be My X-Men, and they're all.
Oh wow,
bad.
yeah.
First Class
is solid and playable. Like just playing a card that gives you like 4 power is fine. And then Children of the Atom I think is also okay. Removing any amount of negative effects for free and then also gaining power for it, that's fine.
That's actually
not be super competitive.
The stock's actually going up on that. There's so many things that they can do now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to me, my X-Men is terrible, and I said it was terrible day 1, and nobody believed me. They're like, no, dude, you get to move your whole team. It's like Avengers Assemble. I was like, this card is like Avengers Assemble, like fucking Ebony Maw is like Scarlet Witch. Like, there is no comparison between these two fucking things.
Yeah.
They're identical in every way.
Yeah. Corporate needs you to find the difference between these two pictures. It's like Ebony Maw Scarlet Witch card.
Yeah.
It's like, I found some. Where should I report to?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I guess that's the news.
News.
Man, I could freaking rail on X-Men a whole day.
We don't even need a topic.
So Storm,
just hate on X-Men.
Storm is clearly a success at a character, even if
Yes.
she didn't have her leadership, because she is a solid 3-point character.
I'm never sad
Beast
when
is
Storm is there.
Yeah. She's not as good as Beast for 3 points, I don't think, but with her leadership,
correct.
she becomes better. Beast is awesome. Wolverine is a great 4-point beater, probably the best 4-point drop-in beater in the game. The biggest problem for him is he eats up tactics slots.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Scott Summers, who in every single incarnation has been a whiny bitch. So, where were they going to go? They nailed him spot on.
How hard can we forget this character?
I can't let the 4-point good model beater point thing go to just let you say something like that. That's strong. There's lots of 4-point characters that are good beaters.
Yeah, but Wolverine's a good one.
He's okay.
There's very few times you could say, well, you need to take Wolverine out for this other 4-point guy that stabs people. Like, okay, what's your argument? Like he's fine.
As an X-Men, yeah, but nobody splashes Wolverine. No.
Well, it's because they're bad. Wolverine's
whatever.
Good. Let's say Parker does.
God, shut up, Parker. Not right now. Not now. Just shut up.
You clearly have not had the turns where Wolverine just like refuses to die and then heals 5.
I haven't because I fucking respect him.
Oh my God,
I blow him off the board.
I would rather have Wolverine than Thor in a lot of situations because I know what Wolverine's going to do.
I guess the competition it lands in is directly. It's competing with Medusa, and Medusa is better.
Yes. But she's not a beater.
Medusa's better at moving people.
She's not
she
a
has
beater.
flurry. She has pushes.
Oh wait, you said Medusa. For some reason, I thought you said Enchantress. My bad. No. For some reason,
Enchantress.
He competes
Medusa's
directly
good.
with Medusa. It's a 4-point beater that splashes, and he's not better than Medusa.
Medusa doesn't do the damage Wolverine does. They do different things. Medusa is 100% about moving stuff around, which is good. That's a good thing, but she's not a beater.
I think she is.
I think you're wrong.
It's fine to be wrong. Don't be embarrassed. Parker, tell him not to be embarrassed.
You don't have to be embarrassed.
I cannot recall a single time in my adult life I've been embarrassed.
That's probably true.
That's true. You're the one person. You're the one person I think I've ever told that to.
Shameless.
Like, wait a minute. What the fuck am I saying?
Why did I just say that? That was such a waste of both of our time.
Yeah. What am I saying?
You remember when we went to ATC and I just didn't wear shoes all weekend, and people were like, "Oh, there's Brandon."
Yeah, that's true. I made a mistake there, folks. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay, so moving on. Currently playing. Oh, you're gonna announce it to the world?
Well, no. I'm going to do it, and I'm excited.
Do it.
Oh, well, I mean, are you gonna say it, or are we gonna keep this a secret? I thought we were gonna surprise Jeremy.
Ooh, okay. We'll keep it a super duper. Well, he's gonna take one look at it, right? It's not like
I'm fine either way.
Okay,
just fucking tell me.
Yeah, no, he's good. As soon as you show up, he'll know what you're doing. I just am excited for it to happen.
So, inspired by our conversation, actually, the last podcast, about.
Wait, can I tell him real quick? I want to tell him.
Yeah, I'll let you tell him.
Worth it.
I'll introduce.
No. I just want to start now. Trust me, it'll be worth it.
Okay, go.
All right. So we thought, what is the best list in the game? And based off of our opponent's reactions, we established it is playing only models that succeed on blanks on defense. And so we have assembled a roster that is only blanks on defense that you have to play against on camera now. It's going to be amazing. Jeremy's so bad. I'm just kidding. That's not the list. All right, Parker, go ahead.
So inspired by our conversation last time about how if I'm going to get better at this game and play on a clock, I need models that I can throw at people and not like think about too hard. Just go. And the only faction I haven't bought yet is probably actually the faction for that, which is Guardians. So while I was weak and in the middle of the night and I wasn't in my right mind at the game store, you were
a little loopy.
Yeah, I bought all the most of the Asgardians, and I guess usually the Asgardians I didn't have because I already had a bunch, and then I already have a lot of the other models to put together a new version very similar to the old one of the Bifrost Bruisers, which is actually came up with in this podcast, which was I think it was like episode like 18 or something like that. We were standing there going, is there a way to abuse like all the cards that stop you from taking damage or prevent you from dying or bring you back to life and then also heal? And so basically it's a combination of Asgardians plus tough bruising regenerators. But because it just so happens that Asgardians and the tough bruising regenerators also have a lot of throw cards and do damage outside of turn cards, it's actually more tactically flexible than it looks. It's an attrition list, but it literally throws itself into the fray. And I think it's going to work great for me as a way to get away from Avengers for a second, do something more proactive and also get over this whole. I just need to play the game a whole bunch with models that don't have a million things to do.
It's like you have a phobia of making decisions about placement. And so we're just going to get you past that. And you're just like, because your goal with this roster is just get to melee range.
Right.
That's the goal. And so there's no question about where you put your guys. You just run at people.
Right.
And then once you get there, you have options. But the whole point is just to close the gap.
Mm-hmm.
And we've given you all the possible tools to get you to stay alive. Because, just run through the roster real quick. Do you have it in front of you?
Oh,
I can run through it. I know the roster as well, but
So the roster is Thor, to lead the Asgardians, Loki, a Mind Stone, Valkyrie, Enchantress, Wolverine, Sabretooth, Taskmaster, Wong, and Okoye. And so the core is basically Thor with Valkyrie, Loki with Mind Stone, and then usually Wolverine is actually the plan, and the Sabretooth can also go in there. But the Wolverine was actually made the plan because I really wanted to try a really cool combo with Wolverine, and I just wanted to try the card a bunch, which is a no matter the cost. So I'm excited to do some no matter the cost Wolverine stuff, and so it's one of the tactics cards in the list.
I am actually really excited about no matter the cost of Wolverine, because if he gets injured and you get priority, he just no matters the cost his first Berserker Barrage, which makes it a 10-die attack that automatically throws.
Yeah. And
he gets to place. And so it's just a great synergy, and then he automatically heals too, so you didn't even really take any. You took 1 damage for that.
Which you could heal.
And so
with Asgard, right. Yeah.
And so because you have all this power left over, it makes it really easy for him to pay for Best at What I Do, or potentially All You've Got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you could just have an absolutely crazy turn with an injured Wolverine.
What are your tactics cards?
So All You Got is not in there right now. It's one of the ones we've been staring at. But the other ones, besides the matter of the cost, are Exceptional Healing, and Odin's Blessing, the stop damage cards, which are really important. Weapon X Program and Sibling Rivalry, the 2 throw cards, super tactically flexible. Yeah. Then another stop your damage card with a Recalibration Matrix, and then just 2 great healing cards with Med Pack and Field Dressing. So basically just slow down your opponent's
question is it worth dropping Field Dressing for All You've Got, really?
Mm-hmm.
I think for that list it is, for what you're trying to do.
Yeah, because there's already so much natural healing in the list that how often are you like alive with 1 basically, and then you just play, instead of playing Med Pack, you play you play All You've Got instead, and so it fills the same role because you play it at the same time.
Wait,
it just does.
Are you saying field? You're saying?
I meant to say Med Pack. I think I said Field Dressing.
Yeah,
you're trading out Med Pack for All You've Got.
I think that's actually a good call. Yeah,
because the only time you really need to play Med Pack because of all of the healing in the list is when you only have like 1 or 2 hit points left, which is the perfect time to play All You've Got.
Right.
And usually you don't really need more survivability. There's already so much survivability. 3 extra hit points isn't going to change a lot, but an extra turn might.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the thing about Asgard. Generally is we use the word fair, like it's a fair list, as in it doesn't do anything that surprises your opponent and like makes you feel bad as an opponent. It just kind of does what it does, and hopefully you can like deal with it.
Asgard has like the best superpowers, but yeah, their stat lines and attacks are very fair. Like they're very straightforward. They're not complicated. They're slightly above average, but then they back it up with amazing superpowers.
They don't have crazy swing turns. Like a lot of times when we talk about like tactics cards and kind of shenanigans, you talk about like a swing turn that happened. Even playing an All You Got and one of your models goes twice. Basically what that tells me with Asgard and the models you have is what happened was you didn't do as much damage as you had hoped, and you're just going to finish off the shit that you tried to finish off. Most of the time, because you don't have reach on everything. You don't have a model that has flurry like 6 times. Like, it's not going to happen. But you do have solid stats and solid attacks and solid throws. All of that is fair and good and quality. And that's good. My thing about that is, though, with you particularly, Parker, you don't have rerolls in that list. Like, there really isn't rerolls. So what you get is what you get.
Well, bro, he's got recal.
That's true.
Whoa,
he has
whoa, bro.
1.
Well, bro. But it's a good one. But just do the math on, like, that Wolverine injured turn. So let's say they daze Wolverine. You get priority when he gets dazed. It gets to your turn. He's got, let's call it 6 to 8 power sitting on him, which is irrelevant. He has enough power to do everything with the way the math works out. So you start off your turn. You're within 3 of the person that dazed you. You play no matter the cost, get a free Berserker Barrage. You place close as you can to the next person. Drop your 10 dice attack into them. Because it's a non-directional throw with Berserker Barrage, you throw them into yourself, taking yet more damage to increase the amount of your extra dice. And then you pay 2 or 3 for best at what I do, and he can potentially advance medium and do a 9 dice claw slash attack with wilds count as doubles. And you just like randomly murder somebody. Then you play all you've got, activate again, and do another Berserker Barrage. That's a 10 or 11 dice attack, and you get to place again off of that. And it just potentially could be a silly amount of damage.
And
I
Jeremy,
mean, I like the world that you live in with this Wolverine doing all of that. Usually, right? I just push him short or just move him a bit. But again, I like that, and that's good, and it does tons of things. That's cool.
I do. The one thing I'll say, Jeremy, is I thought about that. I thought about the whole, but when am I going to fix my dice problem? But there is one thing about this list that I love, which is there are so many ways to turn my dice into things that do other things. Like the wilds turn into throws. I am a god, turns to blanks. Valkyrie with Warrior of Legend. Wolverine with best at what I do. Like there's a bunch of things that happen when I get the dice. So I do like that a whole lot. Also, there's Taskmaster's in the list also. So, like, there's lots of ways for me to get things yes, I'm not re-rolling very often, but I am getting more dice faces than I normally do with most of the characters.
There's dice fixing, but generally you're still at the mercy of your initial roll.
Right.
But because you have some dice fixers, you will get a lot of spikes in either direction. You'll get it when you don't get anything, and you'll get some when you get like a fair distribution, which makes your dice fixers put you well into above average. Mm-hmm. But there's still going to be big hits, big misses. It's all about getting there as fast as you can and taking as many opportunities as you get.
I would say that
Go ahead. I was going to say what you have to remember with Asgard, and when you play them, especially when you haven't played them before, is you have to get in the I'm activating and this person's going to heal. I'm activating and then this person, like getting this whole like roll of every single turn, somebody else is going to do something or the characters, anybody. You just have to remember that Asgard top of turn per character does a cool thing and just make sure you do it. You have to get that benefit.
Don't forget to use your abilities.
Yeah, it's real good. It's real cool.
Every game that I've ever played, that I've eventually found success, I started with the resilient faction, the one that doesn't do a lot of dice mods or a lot of fancy movement tricks. It's the one that just does something really simple. I didn't get strong at War Machine until I played Khador way back in Mech Warrior days. I didn't get excellent until I was playing Highlanders. Like every miniatures game I've ever played, when I started with the simple faction, and I'm not saying there's no faction in this game that's super simple because every character has so many things on their card because everybody's a warcaster. But when I started with somebody with simple objectives, that's how I did. That's how I enjoyed the game more, to get my feet underneath me, then I was able to play. So I'm excited to try this. I think I'm going to like it a lot.
Everyone needs to learn the core mechanics before they start worrying about like playing at a high level.
Asgard's a lot of fun. It has a lot of straightforward stuff that's really effective. I mean, you can't beat throws no matter who you're playing. Like throws are amazing. Lots of power is amazing. They do that in spades. Like it's really good.
Yeah, Asgard's really about you need to generate as many attacks as you can and then follow them up with predetermined things that happen, which is like your superpowers. So like you can go in with Thor, hit a guy, okay, well I did like 3 damage, so now I need to make the decision on how I want to use my superpower throw. Stuff like that. And so it's mostly about using your abilities in the correct times and points. All right, well, hopefully Parker has fun with that new list he's going to try. Well, it's not really a new list, but it's a adaptation on an old list. Although this is one of the reasons we probably brought it up is Lizard is almost assuredly going to be an auto include in this roster once he comes out.
Yeah,
which is in a few weeks. So moving on, Jeremy, did you have anything you're playing new that you want to talk about?
I mean, I'm forcing myself into not only just using Thanos, but just using Black Order. The last couple of games I've had have been pretty good.
Oh, good. So you're gonna start playing Black Dwarf?
Excuse me, I didn't hear that last thing you said. Thanos. Yes, I'll be playing Thanos. Thank you for asking. He's pretty good. I've been playing.
I remember
like
we talked the other day,
yeah,
and you were like, "Yeah." So I was like, "I'm just gonna play Black Order." So I was like, "Screw it, I'll throw Ebony Maw in there just to screw around, and have some fun." And you like started reading his card, and you're like, "I'm not playing this guy. This guy is terrible."
He's only terrible compared to Scarlet Witch. Like when you're looking for that
other
effect,
5-point models.
Yeah, you're like, I'm dipping into the pool, looking for an effect and looking for a model that does something great. Okay, I see. Wait a second. There's this other one sitting right there that's just awesome. It's
all right,
terrible.
Jeremy. I'm gonna read you some models, and
Okay,
then you just
yeah.
let me know when one of these models is worse than him. Amazing Spider-Man, Angela, Black Bolt, Cable, Doctor Strange.
Slow down. Wait.
Ghost Rider.
Wait.
Ghost Rider.
You're going way too
MODOK,
fast.
Scarlet Witch.
I'm trying to think.
Thor.
I'm trying to find one.
The only one that's even remotely a question is Cable, and there's no question Cable is way better than Ebony Maw. Here, I'll keep reading. Black Panther, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Black Dwarf, Carnage, Corvus Glaive, Cyclops.
Stop, it's hurting.
Okay,
It hurts.
hold on. Cyclops might have been it.
Okay, whoa. I get. I mean, I'm just like you are when you look at it. You're like, damn it, man. Wouldn't it be great if this guy was like not shit? Like, if they're gonna make another version of a model, could they please fucking make that or a tactics card that fixes it?
Hey, Jeremy, just so you know, Cyclops has more hit points than Ebony Maw.
Jesus,
I just need you
Age.
to know that. What a miss!
Ugh.
What a fucking miss!
Seriously, what a fucking miss. Because like it would be so amazing to be able to legitimately play a Black Order list that has all the dudes and all the stuff. Like, and you just can't. Like, not if you respect yourself. Like, I mean, anybody can do anything, right? But you got to sleep at night and you have to be by yourself and think about what you did. Like, ugh, you can't do that.
I mean, I played him in like 3 or 4 straight games, and every game I was just like, "Am I doing something wrong?"
Yes,
like,
you were playing.
I was like, I looked at him like, all of the things he does seem good, but it's not working. Like, what's wrong with it? I tried him with the Space Stone. I tried him with the Mind Stone. I tried him without any stone. Like, it just did not work. It was pretty awful. All right. So hobby projects, anybody working on anything new for hobby projects other than Parker considering the notion of maybe thinking about painting?
It's on the tip of my tongue. It's right there.
Oh, okay. All right.
All my models are caught up. I'm done.
Fully painted?
Fully painted.
Nice.
All set. I'm ready for next month.
All right. So we're going to do a quick ratings round then, since we're on to our main topic for today. So we're going to see how far we can get through the rest of the tactics cards before 75 new tactics cards come out later in June.
Tactics Tuesday. That's what we'll call it. But it's Tuesday.
It's Wednesday.
Yeah, but I was thinking about it yesterday, and it was Tuesday yesterday.
Yep. Think of it.
Think of yesterday.
Think of Wednesday like a late Tuesday night.
It's
like
a late.
really
I
late
mean,
Tuesday.
when are you at?
Oh
like, it's.
my god!
It's fine.
When you think about Wednesday, isn't it
Taco
just like Tuesday?
Wednesday because yesterday was Tuesday.
Yeah.
What? Oh my god! All right, Parker, are you ready?
Yep.
Take us into that first beautiful bean footage.
All right. First one is Hired Muscle. Unaffiliated active card. Any character may spend 1 power to play it. Each civilian token within range 3 of this character is placed within range 2 of its current position.
I don't think it's very good. I mean, it's probably not
poor to
worth
very
even
poor.
considering putting in your list. Yeah, I'd give this probably a 2.
I mean, I threw mine away initially.
Did you?
Yeah, I just chucked it.
So I remember reading this and thinking this card sucked, and I still think it was only so-so in actual application after I learned about how good it was, because it's only really good in certain scenarios, and obviously getting priority helps that. But I feel like much like Advanced R&D and Angela, the people that were playing this at a very high level are really just looking for like gotcha wins. I felt like. And I'm not saying it doesn't give you an advantage if everything lines up. It obviously does. Like, it was working. It was just that, like, I don't like cards that only work sometimes. And so, I don't know, it was really annoying. Especially a lot more of the newer scenarios are coming out and civilians are becoming less and less common.
Yeah, I mean, just the idea of having a gotcha bitch card as one of your tactics cards is a problem. and the only way to solve it is to use that same card. And if you didn't know, I mean, you would quit the game. Like, if you're a new player and this happened to you and you didn't see it coming, that sucks. That's not any
if
fun.
you quit the game over the results of one game, it's not like it kills all of your opponent's models. It gives them an advantage in scenario. Like, if you quit the game because you lost by 2 extra points on scenario,
I'm ready to quit the game at any
never
point.
should have started.
Me and Jason, Jason's right. Like, we should just, you get
just
upset.
have an active buy it now on eBay, and when that gets clicked, you're done.
When somebody does something to upset
you guys play.
You quit. And I'm always ready. Like, I've got, the ad is up, I just have to hit enter.
Post.
Just go.
Accepting offers. Every time we play, you just lower the amount by $10.
Yep, exactly. I'm done.
So obviously, if anyone hasn't been following recent events, this card was recently banned.
Yeah.
Because in some scenarios it was egregiously overpowered. But it's primarily only egregiously overpowered if you get priority and your opponent doesn't have it also. And you got good missions for it. I don't know. It's probably about 30% of the time it was overpowered, and 70% of the time it was okay or bad. And so it's what it is. Honestly, I'd probably give it a 2 right now, because you could still play it and just hope your opponent doesn't know it's banned. I mean, what are the odds they know, right?
I mean,
and even if they catch you, you're just like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know." Puts it down.
That was the only
roster.
Yeah, that was the only thing I was going to say about this one. I feel like it's hard to the banned thing. It's because I feel like it's hard to rate, because how do you rate a banned card when it wasn't banned? When it wasn't banned because it was egregiously strong every game. It was banned because it created a horrible play experience some of the time. So, like, it's really weird.
If that's true, then we should ban field dressing, because what the fuck? That's way worse.
Right.
I would much rather my opponent play field dressing or hired muscle every game than play field dressing once.
I think they're different things. If you know your opponent has field dressing, you just wade through it. Like I said the other day,
same with hired muscle.
Just go. No, but hired muscle, you lose. You lose models because of field dressing.
You get disadvantaged. You lose models because of field dressing? How are you losing models because of field dressing?
Because you've dealt with a model, then that model comes back and deals with you. Like, it's a different thing. You don't get
so you
victory
have
points.
If you bring a roster in general that's not equipped to try and fight for scenario, then you're going to be at a disadvantage. Not knowing how to play against hired muscle is going to add another layer to that disadvantage. But if you've got models that can get into position to combat this effect, then you have a good way to play against it. But there's the times you get matched up and you just don't, because not every faction has that. And unless you're intentionally playing things that are good against hired muscle, you're going to run into bad matchups.
Can we give it a 0 and move on?
No, I think we should rate it like it's not banned, because it might eventually get unbanned. And the only reason to give it a rating is if it's not banned. So I would say just rate it like it never got banned. I give it a 7.
I was going to say 7, honestly. 7.
It's 1/6 of the time it's absolutely useless.
Mm-hmm. And it does have a solid counter itself. Yeah.
Well, let's say 1/6 of the time you can get completely locked out of civilian missions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's even if you're trying.
Yeah,
Parker.
I think 7. I was going to flip it and say like 4, because and the reason why I was thinking of like the other side, like 3 or 4, is because like it's only good for this one thing in this one case. Otherwise, it is a complete waste of a slot. Like, it is just a dead slot.
So it's only good on the Mayor Fisk mission on the Secures, but it's very good on the Mayor Fisk mission.
Right.
And now, with the advent of more, obviously, if you're the one playing hired muscle, you're not going to play the missions that don't have civilians.
Mm-hmm.
So you could guarantee, if you get to choose extracts, you could guarantee a civilian mission. But you might be in a situation where your opponent is even better at civilian missions than you are. So your only thing is hired muscle, and if you don't have priority, you're really limited in how you can take advantage of it.
Yeah.
All right, so 7 it is. Moving on. Next up, Parker.
Next up is Marked for Death. Marked for Death.
Nope.
That's the next one.
Try again.
Next one is... Oh.
Nope.
My bad.
I before M.
The next one is Inspiring Monologue. Inspiring Monologue is an active card. Any allied character can spend 3 to play this card. Choose another allied character. That character may reroll any number of its defense dice this round.
So, Jeremy, am I right or am I right? This was the best card in the battle box.
Oh, the battle box. This thing was just a kick in the nuts.
This was the card that nobody knew about for 2 weeks. It was amazing.
Oh,
because it was like
miserable.
Captain America. It was Captain America and Black Panther all over the place. And it was just like, oh my god, Inspiring Monologue is so broken. This is where Jeremy started hating Captain America.
It was it was in this land for sure.
Yeah. I still love this card. I try and squeeze it in whenever I can, but yeah, it's not aged well. But obviously, dice fixing is good. So,
and it's so thematic. It's so thematic, right? Like some dude just being like very pompous and like, I've got all these plans and go to hell, go F yourself, whatever. And you're just like bouncing bullets off of them while they're talking. Like, it's so good.
All right, I give this a 6 out of 10. It is very abusable on some characters, but if you just try and throw it in a random list, it's probably not very good.
Anymore, I'll give it a 5. I'll give it a 5. With the healing cards and all the other cards that are, I guess they're not really. This isn't really competing with those, right? So,
it's not restricted.
Still a 5. There's a lot of things to do in the game.
When I say 6, it's specifically looking at the people that can abuse it, because that's when you're going to play it, right? You're not going to play it with like a bunch of Defense 2 guys. But when you're combining it with like a Black Panther or a Daredevil or a Captain America or Cable even or Doctor Strange who can roll like 5, 6, 8 dice on defense, this starts becoming a serious problem. And that's why I give it a 6. I think 5 is a fair rating though. I can understand a 5 because it's not good with everybody.
Most of the time, if you play this, it just says don't attack me this turn. Or this round.
If there was a card that said pay 3 can't be attacked, I'm on it. Like, give me that fucking
It's
card.
very close to that. It's very close.
It might as well be, right?
I was actually going to give this a 7 with exactly that logic. Like every single time I played this card because I play Avengers a lot, and every time I played this card, it basically said, if you want to damage my character this turn, you better have throws. Like that's what it said.
Yeah.
Do not
says can't be attacked.
Functionally, it says
isn't this the ability that Amazing Spider-Man has? No, isn't it? Amazing Spider-Man rerolls all his dice.
It's not.
He does.
Yeah, that's not what this says. Because he also rerolls dodge dice.
Yeah.
That's true.
Amazing Spider-Man says, man, load slower, please. May reroll a number of defense or dodge dice. Yep.
And we know that's really good. So I will put this as a 6. You're right. It is really good. That's fine.
Well, we were already at a 6 without you, but we appreciate you joining us.
6.5. Does that help?
I said 5.5.
That actually would put us at 6.5.
No, don't do that.
Which would round up to 7. Yeah, exactly. We've creeped too far.
5.8.
We've gone to plaid.
We've gone to plaid.
All right. I almost made a power creep joke on Discord today about Marvel Strike Force. And I was like, they've gone to plaid. I was just going to post the Infinity Watch in front of a plaid sign.
Yeah.
All right. Parker, hit us with the next one.
It is now marked for death.
Is it, though?
Yeah, it is. An affiliated active card. 2 allied characters that are within range 5 of each other, of the same enemy character, may spend 1 power each to play this card. This round, the enemy character loses and cannot gain stealth. Its speed becomes short, and it cannot modify or reroll its defense dice. Ho 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 ho! Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. This was a card we thought was going to be everywhere, and no one plays it. So part of the reason I think nobody plays it is because of the annoying pseudo-stealth abilities. Like, it came out at the same time as Shadow Organization, which is a pseudo-stealth, and then not long after that, Storm came out, and she has a stealth that doesn't use the terminology stealth, so you can't ignore it with this card. And so that's kind of annoying, but the can't reroll defense dice is becoming a lot more important nowadays. Also, speed short is kind of good.
I find it annoying any of the cards that require 2 allied characters to be within anything. There's just other cards that you don't require it.
5 is so far.
Though. It is.
So
that's
far.
not a problem, but I don't know. That just makes it kind of like...
Remember how many times you're like, there's no way Shuri can shoot me? And you're like, God damn it.
Yeah.
It's not even that max range.
No, it is pretty far.
It wasn't even close.
I will say this card is it's good against exactly the characters you want to play it against, right? Skirmishers are usually stealth and speed long, right? So you're really debilitating their ability for the skirmisher to get away and for it to get the benefit of its primary live condition, I guess, not win condition.
Yeah.
So
defense.
it is. I
mean,
really like it
correct
that
answer
it's exactly designed to target exactly those characters, and it does exactly what you want it to do.
They just need to add cannot have damage removed, and this card would be perfect. If they just added that little caveat, even make it cost 2 each, that's fine. Like, this is exactly the card we needed.
This is actually
prevented healing.
This is actually a really good card. I was actually going to compare it to Grievous Wounds, because Grievous Wounds is not exactly what you want to prevent healing. This card is exactly what you want to prevent skirmishers that run away and rely on stealth. So
this does its job exceedingly well. Mm-hmm. The problem is it's just speed long stealth models that reroll their defense dive have not been dominating the meta lately, so it hasn't really been necessary.
Yeah. But they keep printing Quicksilvers and Spider-Mans, and it keeps happening.
As soon as Amazing Spider-Man comes out, because Spider-Man, the Web Warriors have 2 models that really need this to happen to them. Amazing Spider-Man.
I really need this to happen to them.
Amazing Spider-Man and Daredevil can go to hell. Like, both of those dudes just need to be zapped, and this card will do that.
Daredevil doesn't reroll his defense dice, right? It's just blanks.
He'll reroll 1 though into blanks, which is nasty.
Oh, with the ability, yeah.
If you're not using Amazing
crap. I mean,
Inspiring Monologue. I can't wait for Inspiring Monologue on Spider-Man, so he gets and you're still playing Miles, so it's full reroll, 1 reroll. It's gonna be awesome.
And the way these dice work, it'll be still 0. You're like, fuck, how did this happen?
Still no blocks. Yeah. Your opening roll will be 3 skulls. You reroll that 1 die 3 times. It'll still not do anything. You're like, you motherfucker.
Hit. Also hit. You're like, what?
All right. So let's throw some numbers out on this. I give this I want to say 6, but I'm going to give it a 5. I don't respect stealth, so it's really just slowing people down for me. But I do like this card a lot.
The number of reroll guys seem to be dropping every time. I don't know. 5 is fine.
I would have said a 4 to just did a mental count of all the guys that can reroll defense dice that were just coming out in the mix, everything. So yeah, I think it is a 5.
Also, sometimes it's worth it just to fucking slow people down. Like, if you're just Quicksilver, stop! Fucking stop!
Yeah, he's actually this is a great anti-Quicksilver card, because he's move short and he's not rerolling his dice, which he does.
Yeah. All right, so 5 it is. All right, Parker, hit us with the next one.
Next one is MedPack. Unaffiliated active.
Dun, dun, dun.
During a character's activation, it may spend 2 power to play this card. Remove up to 3 damage from this character or an allied character without a daze token within range 3 of this character.
This card is just terrible. You can't heal for more than 3, which is just not a legitimate amount of healing. Range is too short. I mean, trying to keep people within range 3 of each other is just ridiculous. It has to be played by the active character. That's just garbage. Oh, wait, no. The opposite of all of what I just said. That's what I meant. I remember when this card came out, and I was just like, so healing cards are just broken now, I guess. Like, I was so used to playing Patch Up. I was like, holy crap.
So, yeah, I mean, I've mentioned it many times that the healing factor in the game is really, out of control. Like, how powerful healing is, and how kick in the face it is for someone to heal their model after you work so hard to kill it. But I think now you can see that they're just really rare. Like, there's a lot of, if you do something to me, I will stop it. But there's not a lot of, if you do something to me and it makes it through the defense rolls and all of that, I will repair it. That's pretty rare, the repair, function. So, and a 2 for a 3 is really, really great. It's restricted. It's the number 2 card in the game right now, kind of or number 1 even. It's solid all around. It's one of the best cards in the game.
Part of the big thing about it is how versatile it is, because it does have to be played by the active character, but being able to affect anyone within range 3 is super friendly. 3 health for 2 power is a great amount. It's very solid. There's nothing really wrong with this card. And to talk about the negative play experience of having what you just did get erased, if you only did 3 damage to somebody, and then they play medpack, it probably feels bad because you only did 3 damage, not because they played medpack. So it's really just refreshing the wounds that you failed to do any reasonable amount of damage.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why it feels so bad. But I know Jeremy hates it.
Oh, I don't hate it anymore. I mean, I've seen the way the game kind of flows a little better now and have a better understanding.
Yeah.
It feels different than it did. But a 2 for 3, I mean, like Magic, when you're playing that and you're looking at, okay, what do I get for 1 cost? I mean, it's a deal, right? Like you get for 2, you get 3. That's good. And it's simple to play.
Yeah, it's really, it's one of those cards that's ubiquitous. Like you can always, like if you, I think one of the reasons why it's restricted is it goes anywhere, always. You can always put it down on the table with you and expect to use it at some point somehow, because you'll have some character within range 3 of another character that has 3 damage, and then it's value. It's great value. The only problem with it is kind of like we just talked about today. It doesn't always help you win the game, and it also doesn't always help you like forward your strategy. It's just a really good value card, and so that's great. Like you can always put it in. You'll never be mad about it. But it just says big, bold, underlined, italicized value. Like that's what it is.
This is what it's like to play Groot all the time.
Yeah.
Let's see. So you dealt 3, I take 3, I gain 3 power. I spend 2 of that 3 to go back to full health. Now I have 1 extra power to do something with. And you're like, awesome. Like, I'm so glad I gave you a power. Speaking of Jeremy, I'm very excited for our new Groot tech that we haven't told anybody about.
Shh.
That's going to be fun.
Don't tell anyone.
I'm not going to say it, but I'm very excited.
I've been thinking about that.
Doing a lot of good dojo lately.
All right, so what do you rate it, Brandon? What do you think?
I'm going to give this 9 out of 10 pizza rolls. And the reason I'm giving it 9 out of 10 is because if you are looking at a ratings list to decide which cards to play, just play medpack. It's the correct answer. There's no wrong answer if you've taken medpack. The only time to not take medpack is because you have found a strategy that involves other restricted cards, not because medpack doesn't work.
I think if you looked at a chart of 100 players and 100 restricted cards on those lists, or 200 restricted cards, I think you would see every person taking medpack and something else. It just is that way, and for that reason, I'll give it a 9.51. Like I wanted to creep into the 10. Like it's about as like gold as you can get.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine a card better than this that heals people and it not being immediately banned.
A card you play that gives you 3. You're like, I will play this and gain 3 victory points. You're like, excuse me?
Well, like you follow the path. Like maybe a card that costs 5 that heals 8. Like what would it have to be? And like it would probably still be worse. Because it just costs too much. Parker, what do you think?
Yeah, it's just it's one of the only cards in the game with this ubiquity. So I think it's by presence in the game alone, I think it's a 9.
9 it is. So yeah, I generally agree. A lot of good points. It's just so easy to play and has a reasonable impact on the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always good. There's never a time you can't play field dressing unless you just get the absolute worst dice in the history of the game. Like,
you mean medpack,
every one of your characters gets instantly... What did I say?
You said field dressing.
Sorry, medpack. The only time you don't get to play medpack is when just every character you have gets instantly like one-shotted. And then the other restricted card you play is field dressing to fix that problem.
Right.
So, Parker, his with the next one.
Mission objective. Super cool card art. Less super cool ability. Unaffiliated active. An active character holding an asset or civilian token may spend 2 power to play this card. Reactive. When an allied character holding an asset or civilian token would drop it, they may spend 2 power to play this card. What? I just read this.
It has 2 functions. So there's an active trigger and a reactive trigger, but they both have the same effect that's printed at the bottom.
Got it. Okay, that's what I was like. I was just trying to read it. What does it do? Okay. So in either case, you spend 2, either actively or reactively 2, place 1 asset or civilian token held by this character on another allied character within range 2. The other character is now holding the token. This tactic does not allow a character to hold more tokens than the crisis specifies.
I think this is the first time I've looked at the art and realize that's Captain Marvel, not Black Widow, standing next to Nick Fury.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was cool. It's a cool.
I always assumed it was just Black Widow because it was a woman. I don't know why I never looked, because she's in the starter box. It makes sense, but anyway, I'm surprised this card hasn't taken on more of a mainstream role with the advent of people trying to get every possible advantage on scenario. Like, this seems like a great way to do that.
It has definitely, the stock has gone up with the new virus objective.
Well, I would just think, like, imagine how easy it would be to just play Black Order, which is a fairly common faction. You play a mission like Alien Ship, where you have a huge advantage to try and find the objective, because you've got Corvus and Proxima both activating, and Corvus finds it on skulls in addition to crits. And so they're 3 times more likely to find it than any other character activating. And then also, if you manage to down one of them, you just immediately pick it up with the other person. Like, it just makes sense to me that this would be an obvious take, especially because that other person could be Thanos. Like, and then once he's got it, it's basically game over.
Is it not? Is one of the reasons why I guess I think people don't see it is it's very similar. Is it just worse? It's just straight worse than the Criminal Syndicate ability, right?
Correct.
Is it? No, because this has a reactive component.
It does have reactive. Does Criminal Syndicate cost 2?
I think it costs 3.
It's 2.
Is it only 2?
It's 2. Yeah.
But is it a range 2 or a range?
3.
Is it also range 2?
Another character within 3.
Okay, so that's why it's really strong.
Move 1 asset or civilian token being held by the active character to another allied character within 3. The character cannot hold more tokens than blah blah blah.
So that's actually a really big deal. The ability to shift at 3. Like, that could not be overstated, because it doesn't require a huge shift in your battle plan or the position of characters. They can continue to do things like contest and move things around. I think it's the fact that you have to do it within range 2 is a big restriction.
But it's reactive. Like, you can do it, like, because with that, like, let's say you move the token over, then they just go for the other guy. Like, obviously, your goal is to push it further back, but there's lists that can dig people out. Like, this, you just put it on, like, your toughest guy, and then you have a backup plan.
Oh, I don't think this is a bad card. I was just saying that in terms of criminal, if you really wanted to move things around, with the exception of the one you just mentioned, but I think the Black Order is a really good option for mission objective, because there's no bigger vault in the game than Thanos. So, like, Thanos is so difficult to deal with that mission objective seems like great value for him. Can we think of another vault that would be as strong reason to play mission objective? I am struggling. Is it like Magneto? But I mean, he can be down.
Well, but he can be, but it's still really hard. Especially because usually the reason Magneto dies is because he exposes himself for a big turn. If Magneto's not trying to expose himself, he's just trying to sit in the back, like, what are you going to send at him that's going to 1v1 him? Like, it's pretty hard.
One of the things...
Not to mention, you can just have Quicksilver go get the objective and bring it to him at that point. And then he just hands the objective to Magneto, and you're like, thanks.
Well, he has to have 2 power to do it, and
Sure.
he probably
He's
will.
In Brotherhood, though.
Brotherhood, yeah. But you're right. But one of the things about Magneto is Magneto just has dice, right? His dice can fail. Thanos is so much harder of a closet because
he has dice plus cover.
Yeah. Oh, he does have cover every turn if he's got his power, which he should.
Yeah. And he kills you back. Like, Thanos hits hard, but he doesn't hit Magneto hard. Like, Magneto will just kill you. So Magneto wins through priority as well.
Okay. So
I'll get a turn and you'll go away and I won't have to deal with you anymore.
So does Mission Objective possibly beat any of the Brotherhood cards, though? I feel like the Brotherhood cards are pretty strong.
If you're playing solo Brotherhood, you might be able to squeeze it in, but I think a lot of the problem, too, is lately we've been experimenting with the new Brotherhood cards, which is why there's been so few slots, because we want to try out Whims of Chaos, we want to try out No More Mutants, we want to try out all these new cards. It's just like X-Men. Like, when X-Men first came out, everyone was playing all 3 of the X-Men cards, and now quickly you see they're not playing any of the X-Men cards, and you have all these extra slots. And so it's really just, we have to weed out the ones that aren't worth it.
I think Mission Objective's probably 1 out of every 3 games you played. If you had that in your list and had it in your 5, you'd be excited that you had it, but the other times you'd just be, it's a dead spot. I just don't think it would do anything for you.
I think it's like field dressing. You have to teach yourself to play with it in mind, and once you start doing that, it becomes very valuable. It's kind of like Cosmic Invigoration as well. It's like Cosmic Invigoration, the first like 5 games you play with it, you don't really get it to work. And then you start figuring out the formations you have to make your list like walk through for it to become a very valuable card where you're always available to use it. And obviously the problem with Mission Objective is if they also have the ability to split you up, that becomes problematic. But you still have the active ability. It's not broken. I just think it's a solid card. I'm going to give it a 5.
Just to be contradictory, I'll give it a 4, being that...
You son of a bitch.
I know.
I changed mine to a 6.
I changed mine to a 3.
10!
Parker!
I think it's actually I think it's a 4 because there's only a few models in the game. There's only a few models in the game where you're excited to use the active ability, and then the reactive ability. Basically, it says spend 2 power if you're within range 2 of a friend. You don't lose the objective token. I don't know.
Well, think about it like this: if you're set up to transfer it, like you got 2 guys within 2 of each other, and they start attacking one of them, but don't actually deal enough damage to make you play it, like they don't daze you, because they want to then wait for somebody else to come, like move you apart so they can kill you. Like, oh, I'll just wait for Loki to go, so then he'll move you and kill you, so you don't get to play Mission Objective. Well, you just activate that character and pass it, and so it's not a problem. So it's just, I like it because it's one of the most flexible, despite it only doing one thing, it's a very flexible card, and there's not any other card that has the dual reaction like that.
I will say that it does get better in objective-focused lists. Like, this would be ball busting in Web Warriors, I think, because people are like, okay, I finally cornered one of his guys to take the objective token. Whoop! And it just goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, that would be really annoying.
Here you go, Venom!
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Aw.
I think it would be great in the ones you can hold more than one objectives on a character, just to be able to kind of hug the football backwards to anybody. Whoever's near you, not to think about it, and just be like, whoop, he'll get another one.
Yeah, the Legacy Cure comes to mind as well, because you can pick them up, because normally you can't intentionally drop them, right?
Mm-mm.
Like, once you pick up the Legacy Cure with 2 different people, if they don't attack you, you'll never do the combo.
Correct.
And maybe that's fine, but I guess criminals can, but that's criminals.
Yeah, I think the stock went up, like I said earlier. That virus one, I think could be interesting with this. It might even be a little too strong, depending on how creative people get and like what they come up with. But for now, I think it's cool. I'm surprised, kind of like you said originally, like it's not seen more with like things that are out there that are kind of busted that maybe people haven't found yet. Because the ability to manipulate like points is not something that's common. Just being able to say, here, move this over here and do that with it. Like, you just can't do that.
Man, I always just fly right past this card when I'm making a list. Always just fly right past it.
It's in the starter box, so nobody ever thinks about it. Also, Parker, some fun stuff you can do is you can lifesaver people with Ghost Spider, drag them into range so they can transfer it to somebody else. Yeah,
that's actually something I like. I'm playing Web Warriors. My eyes are hard on them this month. Soon, we'll probably actually be in July, but. This card looks really good. Man, maybe it's a 5. You can change my mind. It's a 5.
I got it. We got there. All right, next we'll do, what are we at? We'll do 2 more. That should make it easily round-outable for next time.
All right. No Escape. Super great card. Art.
Well done.
Unaffiliated reactive card. During an enemy character's activation, when it begins a move action is within range 2 of 2 or more allied characters. Before the enemy character moves, both allied characters may spend 1 each to play this card. Before the move is resolved, roll 4 dice. Deal 1 damage to the enemy character for each crit and wild rolled. Ugh.
What the fuck does this do?
I know.
So, is it just give you counterattack?
It's basically
during an enemy activation.
It gives you a free strike. When it
begins a move action and is within 2 of 2 or more allied characters.
Yeah. So
so it lets you counter strike people that move away from 2 people
or towards. Just like if you move,
it's 1 power each.
Yeah. So it costs 2 power from 2 different people if somebody moves away or within, if they move at all and they start within 2 of the same character. They get counterattacked.
One!
This is
It's a one!
This is so bad. There's a reason why
One!
I pre-read this and I went, art.
Maybe a 2. Maybe. But probably a 1. Is this worse than Heave-Ho? Heave-Ho's pretty bad.
This
No,
could be
it's
worse
not
than
as bad as
Heave-Ho.
It's
No.
in the category, though, right?
It is really close to Heave-Ho.
I would like to point out that this did not come out in the starter box. This was way later.
Yeah.
Someone made this later and thought it was good.
I mean, how many times have you
think-
rolled counterattack and gotten absolutely dick? Because it's just wild and crits.
Yeah, but
Ooh,
how many
hold on,
times?
I know this one. Every time.
How many times do you run in with a character that just made it living long enough to go and do its monster attack, and then you're like, wait a second, I can't do that because that motherfucker has counterattack and I might die. Like, it's kind of cute in that way, but it's still hot garbage. Like, that's terrible.
This card is real bad. Real bad. Optimistically, you're supposed to do 1 damage on average. So that means you're spending 2 power and using attack discard slot. And you have to have very specific board situation. And your opponent has to do something that honestly doesn't make very much sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you might do 1 damage.
Right. It's like all your opponent has to do to nullify this Texas cards is stay there and kill you. Like,
Or use a place effect.
Yeah.
Or like a move you. Yeah, why are they not just attacking you?
just or a throw.
understand.
They could throw your character and then they can go where the hell they want.
If it was just one person, they're moving away from one person, I actually wouldn't hate on this card as much.
Yeah.
But 2 people? That means you either they engage you and then change their mind and now wants to leave. Or you activated 2 characters, moved on top of that person, and failed to stop them.
called a
And your
plan.
only last ditch option is playing No Escape. Get the fuck out of here.
Wait a
This is
second.
1.
What were your tactics
We're
cards
done.
again? You have no escape. Shit.
Every time I went to move him, I'm like, can you show me No Escape again? I'm confused. I just want to make sure. There's no way this card is that bad. Wow, I thought this card was so much better than this. And I still thought it wasn't good, but I thought it was better than this.
There's no escape.
All right, I just put a 1. You guys can say whatever you want, but it's going to be recorded as a 1.
I vote 1 as well. This is
It's
terrible.
real bad. I don't care. It's a 1, fine.
Oh my
It's
god,
garbage.
how is it that bad?
Listen, Brandon,
is
roll
Hevo
4
actually
dice.
better than that?
Roll
Is
4
Hevo
dice.
actually better than that?
Oh, Hevo is technically
Hold
better
on.
than this.
I think Hevo is better. I think we have a new trashiest trash
Because
card.
it still costs 1 each. It's still 2 people within this range 2 of the same thing, but now it's a terrain feature of size 2 or less. That's much easier to guarantee, and it's a medium throw.
Also, trash cans don't hit you back to nullify your card.
Well, it's so much less likely that they're going to take 0 damage from a size 2 throw
Yeah.
than 0 damage from a counter strike.
Yeah,
And they don't have to randomly decide to take a move action.
right. No Escape is the worst card. I'm actually really excited. This is a great episode.
Oh my god, I think we found... Well, no. Anger Management is the worst card in the game.
Okay, yeah.
But Heave-Ho is the worst non-restricted card.
Yeah, that was
you don't-
that was always
yeah.
that was the default. At least it's not Heave-Ho, but now we have at least it's not No Escape. There we go.
Oh, man. And just think, Mystique
we-
could stop this from happening because of all our powers. Super.
The tipping point, Heave-Ho isn't stopped by Mystique. Got him!
Jesus Christ.
I think we're doing one more, right?
Yep.
I think we have to do the next one because of your list build earlier, too.
Yep. So, no matter the cost is the next one. Unaffiliated reactive
Ooh,
card.
that's
When
a
a
good
character declares an attack action during their activation, it may suffer 1 to 3 damage to play this card. Reduce the power cost of the attack by the amount of damage suffered.
I do want to say first, before we talk about what this does, I have seen this card misplayed probably more than any other card on stream by the employees of the company. They repeatedly use this card to do charges and stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? That's so misleading. That's not how this works. He's like, well, I'm going to play no matter the cost, and then Valkyrie's going to charge for 2 damage. And I'm like, what? Like, you can't do that? Like... All right. I like this card. What do you guys think? It's obviously very specific.
I love combo-rific cards. Like cards that say, ooh, look. Does your character have regeneration? Does your character have ability to gain health back? Does your character have a super premium attack that gets stronger as it takes damage? Like, I love all those comborific cards in the game that every single time a new character comes out that has a series of things that could interact with, no matter the cost, its ability to be played goes up. I really like it. I think it's a really fun card. I love combo cards, though. Combo cards are super fun.
Yeah. I mean, of all the types of ways to cheat power, you would think that this would be the one that people would like. Like, advanced R&D and stuff like that is like, it's just so boring. It's like, this is actually interesting and like fun to try and think of cool ways to use. Like, I think Wolverine is such a great use for this card. He might even be the best character at using this. Because he gets advantaged. Drax is also another good one. He gets advantages for taking damage, and then he immediately just heals it anyway. Mm-hmm. So you didn't really even do anything. And then also he has 3-cost attack, which is great. And his 3-cost attack is very good.
I think this is one of the few cards that has a whole splash of characters that use this really, really well. And then there's a handful of characters, like most characters, don't use this very well. But for the ones that do, and you put them in your list, and you have an idea what you're going to use it for, you're going to use this tactic card. It's going to be awesome when you do, because it's going to do exactly what you want and be done. I mean, it makes it a fantastic tactics card. It's exactly what you want out of a tactics card.
Yeah. No, I like it. It's fun. It's inspiring.
So I'll throw out the number one use for this, just in case people don't know. But the Miles Morales play is the number one use. The move up, he takes 3 damage. He venoms somebody. They draw. Yeah. The problem is
he picks up their thing and runs away.
Well, turns out if you do it first turn, he doesn't have another power. Wait, he does, right? He has 1 to pick that up. He can pick it up with the 1, so he can. He's good.
Venom Blast range 2. So yeah, if it's a center point, he can probably move the 1 time. If they moved a little bit further than they probably needed to, and they found the objective, you can advance medium Venom Blast, pick up the point, and stand there.
So that's a really, really strong play with that, and it's pretty common. So heads up, folks, if you see that in a list, they're going to do it to you.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, I think you would probably just use Enchantress instead, but if you are playing Miles, it is not a bad choice.
One's 4 points, one's 3. Absolutely. All right, what do you rate it?
It's kind of hard to give these a fair rating because there's like 2 times this card will get played. Like you said, it's going to be played with the right character to create very interesting game states that normally would not be possible. And the second one is random people will throw it in because it sounds fun, and they'll try and use it, and it will be horrible. Unfortunately, I don't want to mislead people, but I'm going to give it a 7. This is really fun, but I think it's literally only a 7 with like 4 characters. But in those situations, it can be very, very good.
In my head,
because you're literally it's just like field dressing. You're creating a situation that would not normally be allowed, and your opponent has probably made decisions based on situations that they thought was not possible.
I immediately think of the situation where you're like, I'm going to do this, use this ability. Yes, that felt really good. And then Hawkeye kills you. You're like, fuck!
Yeah. Hi, move up here. Thor's going to play, no matter the cost, take 3 damage, reduce the cost of God of Thunder by 3, pay 3 power to use God of Thunder. Hawkeye shoots you in the face. You're
exactly.
Like, no!
I'm going to, you're awfully strong with the 7. I'm going to say a 6. Where's that put you, Parker?
7 is a bit high, probably. Parker?
I was actually gonna give this a 6 based upon. I think it's the definition actually of a 5. In my opinion, it's a really, really good card that's really good sometimes and horrible other times. And I was gonna give it a 6 because it's combo-rific. There are a few characters that just literally like can win the game or change the whole game based upon this card. That's why I thought it was a 6. So I still think it's a 6.
It's also very flexible. It's like not like just take 3 damage. It doesn't cost power because your rate effectively gives you power. Uh-huh. It's very user friendly, but it's also like risk reward kind of stuff. So
Anybody can do it. That's what's hilarious. I did it.
Not everyone can do it well.
And Hawkeye kills you. Like follow up. Hawkeye kills you.
You're like, all right, blah, 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 do this. I use this ability. It's like, I trigger booby traps. You're like, no! Like, there's so many great things. They're just like, did you forget about this? No!
Yeah.
Another fun use of it we haven't said yet, Groot. Groot usually doesn't care about taking 3 damage.
But Groot, you talk about We Are Groot,
I
the
am
big
Groot.
attack. I am Groot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he probably just has the power, honestly.
Yes.
Because he never does anything.
He might, but if he doesn't for some reason...
If you attack him or Rocket, he gains power for no other reason than to gain power.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's just sitting there with all this extra power. Like, why? Like, so if you move within range 2 of Groot, you should get I Am Groot.
Right. Hulk makes some use of it also. We didn't mention him.
It was really popular when people were still playing Hulk.
Yeah.
Actually, now that She-Hulk is out, it might be more viable. But again, the hit points on them are actually so valuable.
Right.
Because you just need them to stay alive for as long as possible.
Might be that's a bit of a trap.
Yeah, but it is nice to be able to dial in that next chunk of extra power, which is why it's so good on Drax and Wolverine, because it's much more efficient. It's 1 for 1, not 1 for 3. All right, well, that's going to wrap up the ratings. So Parker, I believe you have a comic corner for us today.
Yeah. So my comic corner today is in honor of all the fun Spider releases coming out this month. It's Spider-Man Blue. Marvel did this super cool series with Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, and if anybody who is a big comic book person, you know that these are some of the guys behind the super famous Batman series, Dark Halloween. Which, if you like comic books and you haven't read Dark Halloween, it's a DC Comics issues, which I'm not a giant fan of DC Comics in general, but it's just good comics, very well written, very well drawn. And so some of the guys behind that were hired by Marvel to do a similar thing. So basically the Dark Halloween was, let's reimagine Batman in his old detective origin, right? When he was solving crimes. And so it's very much a noir detective story of a classic Batman. And they're basically doing the same thing to a different Marvel hero. So there's a different color for each one. There's a Captain America red and a Hulk, not green, but gray actually. There's a Daredevil yellow, and there's the Spider-Man blue. And the Spider-Man blue is the one I wanted to highlight. It's probably my favorite because I love Spider-Man, but it's a great retelling of his story in the love triangle between him, Gwen Stacy, and Mary Jane Watson. And while that's going on in the background, of course, you have the super traditional Sinister Six villains going after Spider-Man and his cantankerous relationship with J. Jonah Jameson while he's working for the Daily Bugle and trying to get a job. It's a super traditional Spider-Man story of him trying to balance being a superhero with his so-called life. And the art style is fantastic, and unlike Ultimate Spider-Man, which tried to redo the story completely in a modern context, this one keeps that original context and a lot of the art decisions and the kind of cultural decisions, when the original Spider-Man story was written, but it does definitely add a contemporary storytelling style to it, so it's not so hokey and campy as the original. So if you wanted to see a Golden Age Spider-Man but done in a very superb way, Spider-Man Blue is a great way to experience that.
Cool. And that was Parker joining us via TeamSpeak over our alternate server from Singapore. And he's brought us Comic Corner. Oh, never mind. He's actually in Kansas City this week. That's right.
That's right.
He was in Alaska last week.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Hopefully you guys had a good time. I think we had a pretty good time. We got to yell at each other a lot. It's always good.
It's good.
This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Jeremy. She-Hulk sucks.
And this has been The Gang Has No Escape.
Huzzah.
And hold on.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Are you not podcasting?
I am podcasting, but just give me a second. My backup recording isn't running yet.
I just had a really interesting thought I'm going to hold on to until make sure your shit.
Okay. It shouldn't take long. I just need to delete some backup files that we don't really use or that we don't need anymore.
Okay, I'm going to hold on to it.
Because I have to record the backup as a video format, so technically it eats up a lot more disk space. What was the last time we recorded? 526, right? Okay, so I'll delete these two. So I know we don't need those. Then I will also go to projects and delete episode 35 backup files. Which those are like fucking 5 gigs each. Those are crazy. Just the editing files. It says I still don't have enough space. Settings. Let me change my save location maybe. Maybe it's trying to save the wrong spot. Output. Nope, it's going to the right place. How much fucking space do you need? Look here, you dumb backup system. I thought I had way more space than that. That's concerning. 0 bytes of free space.
That makes sense. Your computer's not locked up and on fire, right?
That's why I know it's not correct.
Yeah.
I looked at it earlier and there was like 13 gigs of free space.
0 megs of RAM available. Oh, really?
I'll just change the file location to my other disk. Because conveniently, I have like fucking 4 hard disks in this thing. Where should I save this? We'll just save it to here. New file, emergency backup. Now I'll be looking at this a year from now like, what the fuck is this? And we have a backup running. Okay. Alright, we have redundancy on separate drives, so we know it's good. I don't know what's happening to my D drive, but very scared. Did you, Parker, go ahead and, do you remember what you wanted to talk about?
Yes.
Can I make a joke first?
Yep.
Okay, because this is relevant to what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see that webcomic where it's the dude on his computer and then his like friend that is a girl is sitting behind him on the other computer behind him, and he's like typing away and he's kind of nervous, and then she goes, "Hey, do you have that spare hard drive?" And then and then his thought bubble pops up. He's like, "She's asking for the D. What do I do?" It's a great computer joke.
Cute.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so because comic book superheroes evolve constantly, but their supervillains rarely do, right? They come up with new schemes and they come back even harder. Sometimes they get a cosmic cube or an infinity gauntlet, but they don't change very often, right? Thanos always comes back as Thanos and tries to take over the universe again. The Red Skull comes back with Hydra and tries to kill Steve Rogers again. So, but comic book heroes are constantly changing because those are the ones that you follow the most, so they have to be dynamically written. So that's why we have an Extremis Iron Man to like look forward to in this game, whereas we do not have like a really cool Red Skull to look forward to. So as the main box characters start to get new versions, like Spider-Man's getting amazing and Captain America is getting Sam Wilson Captain America, as we're getting these new characters out of the original box ones, do you think it'll always only ever be the heroes? Or do you think villains will ever try to get the same treatment? Because I was racking my brain actually trying to think of a way to even make a second version of Crossbones. Like, he's always just been Crossbones. You know what I mean? So I think it's interesting.
They could give him the scars on his face. That would fix it.
Right. So I guess what I'm saying is we have all these cool characters that, and from a game standpoint, like every single card that says Peter Parker in reference or Spider-Man in reference will be able to end up affecting lots of characters. But any card that says Red Skull in reference will only ever affect that original model from the base box, because they'll likely never print a second Red Skull.
I don't know that that's true, that they won't print other versions of like bad guys. And also bad guys like perspective on some characters, not everybody, but some characters are kind of in that gray area.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we will see duplicates of villains happen. It will just be less common, and it will be much less of like a reimagining of the character and more of just a second attempt. Like, I'm very confident we're going to get a second Ultron at some point. And it might be just highlighting different abilities that Ultron has in the comics. Like, it might be a lot more oriented around his Ultron bots, and maybe he'll summon bots or something. And there could be other stuff in general. But yeah, for the most part, I think it's going to be pretty rare to see a duplicate villain.
And I think one of the things that they're doing to make the villains, the original villains or villains that they come out with, more interesting is by doing the Ultra Crisis or whatever it is, right? By giving, Killmonger and Ultron and Thanos an alternate card and making it a big box adventure, that's how they'll do it. So because all the bad guys have always gotten that treatment and all the good guys so far have gotten like a 2.0, I wonder if that's how they'll do it. Is they'll always just have an escalation event, like a special event for the bad guys, and they'll always have a 2.0 printing of the other ones. And the reason why I do not know where like you said, other than just arbitrarily saying, here's a new Red Skull, that's Red Skull again, other than saying that, I do not know how you put Red Skull in the game again. So you put in his daughter, right? But his daughter's a brand new character, and so anything that says Sin on it, since Sin will likely never get a 2.0, even though she could, because in the comics, she actually gets her father's red head eventually. Like, she gets all of her skin taken off in a crazy accident. So, like, there could be a Sin 2.0, because she actually did go through a transition. But I don't think there ever will be. I think there'll only be Cap 2.0, and Spider-Man 2.0, and Iron Man 2.0, and Thor 2.0. And we'll see those over and over and over again, because those are the characters that then change and evolve a lot in the mythos.
So, I don't know that I agree with that, but I understand what you're saying. At the same time, I mean, you could look at a lot of the heroes and say, it's like, well, there's no way this character is getting a 2.0 either. Like, what are the odds we're going to see, like, I'm just scrolling here, a second Angela? Like, what are the odds we're going to see Angela 2 come out? Like,
right.
I think that's a pretty small, I mean, I know she's kind of a niche character, but, like, so second Ant-Man would basically, we're looking for Giant Man at that point, but there's not going to be really a second Ant-Man, right?
Right.
It's just going to be, we found a way to make Giant Man.
But
we're not going to see a second Domino.
But there actually is I guess what I'm saying is there's actually a rules interaction precedent for this, right? Because there are cards that say Spider-Man specifically, that will actually be able to become more tactically available as the game goes on. Whereas the cards that say Sin or I'll even go backwards. A card that says Ultron, great example. A card that says Ultron will not necessarily ever see play outside of that one Ultron model, ever. And I think that's interesting that because of the source material that they've chosen, and because the gamer base and the movies and all the IP going forward will constantly be doing new versions of the superheroes and not new versions of the supervillains. Because Mysterio showed up in that movie, he's not showing up again. Agatha Harkness showed up in that movie. She may show up again, maybe. So maybe you'll see an Agatha Harkness 1 in MCP, but you're not going to see a 2. So like that's what I'm saying is these villains are almost always one and done. Like they could do a Red Skull on the Soulstone Protector Red Skull, because he showed up in the last movie, or second to last movie, guarding the Soulstone. But I don't think they'll do that. I don't think they will.
So I think you're trying to say that it's just not going to happen, and they're going to do villains via the Ultimate Encounters and the narrative missions. But that's obviously not a fair way to do it, because you can't play those. Like, those aren't game legal. They're just for those specific events.
That's the point.
And I don't agree with you that they're not going to do duplicate villains. I think they are going to do duplicate villains.
I think they'll do duplicate anti-heroes. I think they'll do duplicate Punisher. They'll do duplicate Venom. I think they'll do duplicate. I do think they'll do duplicate anti-heroes, but I do not. I would be shocked.
There's not that many villains that show up on a regular enough basis in the comics or the movies to actually warrant a second version. So I think they are going to be much more rare than the hero ones, but I think we are going to get them.
I will be shocked if there is a second villain printed in this game. I will be shocked. Maybe 3 years.
Which villains have their own comic book / storyline that doesn't end?
They have off-camera scenes, basically.
It's the anti-heroes. Yeah, those are the only ones.
So Loki is a villain, and I know that he kind of gets wishy-washy sometimes, and he's got some redemption arcs, but he's a villain.
But now in the current Marvel universe, he's an anti-hero. That's what he is. That's what he's going to be in the show. That's what he is in the comics now. Like, he was definitely a supervillain for sure. He only showed up in Thor and Avengers comics as a bad guy, but he's going to be he is an anti-hero. He's been an anti-hero in the Young Avengers series, in his own series. Like, he's had 3 or 4 of his own comic series now where he's the anti-hero. Mm-hmm. So
that's because it's his point of view, so obviously he's the hero.
No, it's not just his point of view. He has his own adventures where he saves the day. So like he's like Venom. He is Thor's Venom. He was a supervillain that instantly everybody liked a lot, and so they wanted to see more often. And they thought, well, his character has the ability to, he has the motivation to become something more like a vigilante or an anti-hero. He's not just motivated by pure evil. He's motivated by mischief, and that could be good or bad. And so like they took him totally different direction. And so I think you'll get redemption arcs for those kind of villains, maybe anti-hero villains, but I don't think you'll ever see a Red Skull 2 or an Ultron 2. These just kind of like force of the universe villains, like Thanos. These really big guys who show up over and over and over again. And I agree. The one-off, characters that are not very broad or round, like Angela and Nebula and what was I say? Vision, like these characters that just are kind of boxed in and that's what they are. I don't think those will ever evolve, because also I don't think people would be excited to buy them. I don't think people are excited to find out more about their story. But
same with like the Inhumans, like nobody cares. They
right.
don't ever develop as people.
Right.
They never go through any kind of transformation or growth.
What's weird about this game though is that they made some of this shit like keywords, right? Like they made some of these characters keywords and interactions with rules. And so the fact that they did that is weird.
Like I said before, I really think we are going to see a second Ultron at some point. I don't think we're going to be stuck with BattleBox Ultron forever.
I bet we will always have just Ultron.
Shaved head bet?
Nope.
Shaved head bet.
You're the one that said it.
You don't believe then.
I'll tell you this. I'll take this bet. I like this bet. This is my favorite kind of bet. This is a bet with money, the way people should bet. I think
hair is not money. Parker.
I'll go ahead and say it. If Ultron ever comes out as a new character, not a crisis event. If Ultron comes out as a new character in the game,
as a playable character in the game,
I will buy him. I will buy him for you. I will buy him for you in a second. Doesn't matter if he's $80. He's yours.
Parker, just think about it. If you're that confident, though, we should do the shaved head bet.
And
look at it this way: if it takes a really long time, your hair's going to fall out anyway, so you don't really have to shave that much off.
My hair is going to stay in here for a long, long time.
I bet you he's only saying that because it's a piece.
Right.
I bet it's not real.
Right.
And he doesn't want people to know.
Yeah, this whole time, as soon as you put the clippers to it, and it all just slides right off the whole as one mass.
Oh no, they have those new ones that you like glue to your head, and they'll last for months, and you can just get it redone whenever you would normally go get a haircut.
Yeah, we found out. I can't believe you figured it out.
Yeah, but he could never show up again because there would never be the progression of the hair growing back out. It'd just be like a week later, Parker has a whole new set of hair, and so he could never get the hair back. That's why he won't do the shaved head bet.
So, Parker, I'll say I think you've made a pretty good point, though. I'm trying really hard to think of a villain that would work out. And the ones that I think of are like Magneto, and I think they nailed Magneto. There's no reason to go back into that pot, even though he is one of those that like he's lasted 1,000,000 years. He's been around forever. He has like all kinds of nuance. But again, unless they come out with like an X-Men Magneto, which might be kind of cool.
I was going to say, we might see a white suit Magneto.
Yeah, perhaps. But they don't necessarily need to. Like, you don't find yourself putting Magneto on the table and have some sort of wanting, like, feeling, You're good to go. He's good.
The wanting feeling is to keep doing it.
Yes, exactly. More of the same, please.
Yeah, and Magneto, and I think Magneto at this point also kind of falls into that anti-hero category. At one time, he was just racist bad guy, but now he's not racist bad guy. Now he's a mutant champion.
I do like the idea though of like a 5-point Red Skull that has a bit more power and a bit more like something to him, and that would be cool. And I don't see why they wouldn't do that. I mean, that would be pretty sweet.
The other problem you're running into is because specifically the reason this game got made is because of the MCU, right?
Right.
Like without the MCU, this game probably doesn't exist, especially not right now. It might exist eventually, but not in its current state. Especially if we look at it, like what is released that doesn't have screen time, really? Like, there's very few things in this game that have been released that have not had any screen time in movies or TV shows.
MODOK was the only one that, like, dropped the bomb on all of us. Like, what the hell is that
But now
potato?
there's a TV show about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so maybe they just saw it was in the works and put it on the docket. Like, who knows?
Could be.
So it was like, as far as I know, Cassandra Nova is the only thing where I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, nobody has ever said these words to me before.
Yeah.
And so right now they're still cutting that fine line of things that are popular enough with average people that they will immediately have an attraction to. And so they're not really bringing out weird stuff yet. And now that we know, like, Cassandra Nova's on the docket and other stuff like that, Kraven is a lot more niche because Kraven hasn't been in any of the movies. He was in the old TV show back in the 90s, but...
I think they cracked that with putting out Inhumans. As soon as they did that, I'm like, okay, so they'll dive.
I think the Inhumans had a TV show.
Yeah, I know, but
at least
come on.
It was a terrible TV show. That I don't think it had anything to do with the characters they released, but it existed.
Well, Bob, Agent of Hydra, is just a character in the comics. And maybe he'll be in Deadpool 3.
Yeah, but Deadpool... Yeah, I mean, but he is he was actually in Deadpool 1.
What? Where? Where's he in Deadpool 1?
Bob?
Yeah, where's Bob, Agent of Hydra?
He's in the end fight scene. He was one of the soldiers.
Oh, that's right, he was. Yeah, he says Bob. Yeah, absolutely. That's right, he was. They did drop him in that movie.
He's like, last time we saw each other, Jacksonville. Yeah. That they talk about, like, he talks about his casserole and everything.
That's right. Yeah. You're right, he was. I totally forgot that moment. You're right.
Noob.
But I would be very shocked if there's not another Thor, even though Thor is already like there. I would be shocked if there wasn't another Thor. Spider-Man, of course, already happened. Captain Marvel's already happened.
Oh,
Iron Man already.
I think
happened.
we'll get
Hulk.
A 4-point fat Thor. Oh my god.
No, I think we'll get Stormbreaker Thor.
Yeah,
with
that'd
the
be
axe.
Cool. A 6-point Thor would be badass.
The short hair. Yeah. We just need a Thor that isn't like trying to do two things at once.
Yeah.
I bet we get Red Hulk or Gray Hulk or something like that. I bet. That
sure. You can have 4 Hulks. Like, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll just get the Incredible Hulk, just like the Amazing Spider-Man. It'll be like, this is now, we know where the game balance is at now. We've had time to hit our stride. Here is what Hulk was supposed to be, and we'll just get that. But yeah, we could get like an 8-point World Breaker Hulk at some point. You have 40 health. Like, who knows?
40 health.
I could see them doing...
we've seen 20 goes away real quick.
I'm sure that's what they'll do. I would be amazed if they didn't do the armored version, because now he was in Ragnarok also.
Yeah.
So...
But they don't just sell out for movie stuff. The only stuff we've really seen that they've kind of sold out for movie stuff was Guardians. And they were so popular that how do you not?
Also, honestly, the entire comic book of Guardians of the Galaxy totally changed to meet the aesthetic of the movie after they made the movie. The movie did such a better job. Oh, yeah. The movie did such a great job at their aesthetic that the comic books, like the Star-Lord... The modern Star-Lord that was still being printed in comics, like up to the movie, looks totally different than the Star-Lord in the movie, and every comic after that Star-Lord is Star-Lord from the movie, because they totally changed who Peter Quill is as a comic book character after the movie, because the movie did such a great job. He was so aesthetically pleasing and so much more interesting.
It's one of the rare times that someone actually like adapted something to fit something, and it was so much better than the original content that the original fans didn't mind.
Right.
It's like, no, you just nailed it. Good job.
Yeah.
Like, wish it was this way the whole time.
Yeah, all of the characters. Well, Rocket, Groot, Drax, and Gamora were spot on. Nebula, like that was exactly what it is from the comics. But Star-Lord was a total aesthetic change. So. And
Gamora visually was a little bit different, but very similar.
Right. Well, Gamora in this game is Gamora from the comics, not her outfits from the.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they do borrow. They trade off. So they'll pick the one. Yeah.
And Groot looks like Groot from the comics, less so than he looks like Groot from the movie.
He has like the power
because the movie's obviously much more realistic.
Right.
Yeah.
In the comics, he has those like power nodes and things that he has. In this.
Mm-hmm. I don't know though. Is Nebula like exactly the same in the comics as she is in the movie? Because I can't see a difference between her and the model. And usually that means they modeled her off the movie, but I've never seen Nebula in a comic, so... Well,
Nebula in a comic has that white, red, black armor, like the armor that she has, the kind of like form-fitting, like plates for every muscle.
You mean Gamora. I said Nebula.
Oh, Nebula, yeah. Nebula... Yeah. No, actually, the original Nebula from...
She's different.
No, yeah, the original Nebula from the original Infinity Wars was not cybernetic in any way. She was cybernetically enhanced, like, inside, but she just she was just blue. She was just like a blue Kree with she had long hair.
Was she hot?
Yeah. She, she was pinned to look she looked almost exactly the same as She-Hulk Really?
No,
Just
that's
less
not
muscle?
Oh wow.
That's
Like a mess,
disgusting.
like a she was a less muscular She-Hulk. Like that's the way she was pinned a lot.
You're not
like I have
Jeremy's
her.
like, how less?
I'm out. I'm out.
I have her comic. I have that comic where she like grabs the Infinity Gauntlet and wins the Infinity War for them. Well, and then Adam Warlock steals it back. But the point is, like, I have that comic, and she is, yeah, she's pinned to look almost exactly like Jennifer Walters. No, like big green muscles. She's blue and skinnier, but like she looks exactly the same. So
If
Next time I say,
if-
is she hot? And then you follow up something about She-Hulk,
She-Hulk.
I'm going to fucking just delete this account and I'm not coming back.
I'm sorry, but She-Hulk.
Parker, you remember that he has that phobia of women with muscles, right?
I just Jeremy. Well, Jeremy, you've read a lot of comics. Did you just avoid She-Hulk
That
comics?
scene in GoldenEye when the dude gets crushed really did something to him.
No, like, it's horrible. Like, all I can imagine is muscular, like, monstrosity, and all of a sudden they have some sort of, like, tiny female penis. Like, the little nub that sticks out. I'm out. I'm out. I can't help it.
This
It's
is
horrible.
Oh,
very
Jesus.
No.
specific stuff.
Ooh.
It's awful.
What is wrong with you?
Okay, well,
I'm just gonna
lot.
send you. I'm just gonna send you video clips from the cell.
You
every
son of
day
a
now.
bitch.
okay, well, She-Hulk, the original She-Hulk, was very much just like a taller woman. Like she's just
Yeah, she's.
I'm
just,
still out. Not tall.
She looks more like
No.
an Amazon than a Hulk.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
She wasn't
okay.
Huge.
I'm back in. I'm back
yeah.
in.
She
Here,
was
Seriously.
Jeremy, I'll send you a picture. Just open it.
yeah. She-Hulk in the time of the Infinity Wars, She-Hulk was just like an Amazon. She was just like a tall Wonder Woman, green, and then she kind of. It's only recently actually she's super muscle bound in like recent comic books. But even in modern retellings, like the 90s and the early 2000s, she was still just like a muscular woman. Like she wasn't.
She was athletic, not like
Yeah.
huge.
But now she is humongous. Now she is large.
Okay, I'm gonna look at it, and I'm about to fucking just like drop out here. Hold on. What did you just do?
Oh, I didn't really send you a picture.
Oh, okay, good.
I will though. Hold on. Was the movie called The Cell or just Cell?
Don't you do that.
All right. So anyway, back on to actual game stuff. So
Here's
yeah, I think we'll get a villain duplicate at some point, but yeah, I don't think it'll be like soon.
Jeremy. I just put it in the podcast channel. This is the reimagined, like the early 2000s She-Hulk.
All right, don't make me mad. Okay,
No.
look, I'm gonna look.
No.
Hold on.
No, I'm not gonna make you mad. This is not gonna make you mad.
She
I
better
mean,
be hot.
it looks like she could curl about 300 pounds, but that's about it.
She looks tough, not buff. That's the word.
Okay, I like that. That's fine.
Right.
Okay.
All right, since it's got Jeremy's approval, I guess we can move forward.
Yeah. Let's
She
go
better
ahead.
not have any. Look, if you've got groin veins, like that's a problem. I gotta tell you, that's a legit problem.
Jeremy joined the wrong dating app recently, and he's still getting over it.
I seen some shit, bros. I seen
Yeah.
some shit.
Oh boy. All right, so Parker has to buy me all duplicate villain box sets that ever come out.
I said Ultron, actually.
We have established that he has to buy all of them and shave his head each time one of them comes out.
I said Ultron. Let the record show. Read back.
I like how he's
read
not
back the
arguing the
court
shaved
tape.
head part.
Read back the court tape.
As you have been able to tell from listening to our episodes, you know that I can make you say anything.
Oh shit! just splice. I think shit. Shape. Head. Bet.
Exactly.
No, it's way easier than that because you keep saying I will not do a shaved head bet, and I just have to take the knot out.
Oh,
Yep.
It's actually way easier than that.
I will not. No, it's.
Actually, the software I use automatically takes that out.
Oh, nice. I
It just
will
says-
not.
I will take the shaved head bet. Not.
No, you're saying it really fast.
I
You gotta slow
will
down.
not take the shaved head bet.
I will shake the shit.
And then my argument in court
Nah.
will be he used a double negative. I'll just copy the knot.
It looks here like Parker Guidry is going to have to shave his head. We'll go ahead and put that in the document. Follow it up.
I love it when I tell Siri to call you because it's always calling Parker Geige. So, I don't know if you were aware, but your name is Geige.
Oh, interesting.
So you've been pronouncing it wrong, FYI.
Okay. Oh yeah, we pronounced. That's actually not the original name. The original French name we came over with was apparently easier to spell and understand, but some asshole changed it back in like the late 1800s. They thought they were Americanizing it, but they just made it harder to spell.
Well, I mean, it was a lot easier to change your name back then. You just started saying it different, and that was how you changed your name.
Oh no, it was back then. It was on the not Ellis Island. It was on a New Orleans roll.
The charter or whatever.
Yeah, like it was on a roll. He was an immigrant from France, the first Guidry, and he, got to New Orleans, and they're like, "What's your name?" It was like Guidry, and they're like, "Nah, too hard." And they they put a U in there for some fucking reason or something.
All right, are you guys ready to light this fire?
Dude,
I'm super excited. I'm just sitting
I've been
here.
podcasting this whole time.
I'm chomping on the damn bit.
Whoa! Don't do that. You'll chew up your bit.
That last discussion was hot take. I really like that hot take.
Yeah, that was good.
The part about the muscle-bound girl that had a part that's not appropriate. You like
What's
that?
wrong with you?
It's awful. I'm haunted.
That's why I sent you something
Right.
palate cleansing. That's why the picture was sent to you.
It is nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that as my background
Jeremy,
for a while.
check your DMs for more palate cleansers coming your way.
Oh, God. God help everyone. Please stop. Please stop.
More palate
I can't sleep
cleansers.
anymore.
I'm just like Jerry in that fucking daycare center is like, got another funny coming your way. Jeremy just throws his phone in the toilet. All right, here we go. Stop screwing around.
Escape.
Escape.
Groin veins
El
are
escape.
the worst.
Growing pains?
Groin veins.
Oh, I thought you said growing
No.
veins. I'm like, oh, and then you're like, growing
Awful.
veins. I'm like, that's slightly different. I should have made that the title.
Oh my God.
The
Yoga
gang
pants,
has groin veins.
like big old fucking yoga pants.
And that's when everyone's happy we have an audio medium.
Oh my God. So gross.
Why are you just looking at your groin veins? Hey, have you guys looked at the, or do you have the blog post pulled up? For, here, I'll post it. It's, the Captain America blog post. Just open it up real quick and look at the picture of the model.
The blog post for what?
For the new Cap.
Okay.
Alright, you guys looking at the model?
Uh-huh.
Do you see the spot where the explosion meets the base, but there's like a crater in the base? There's just this big black line where there's a big hollow spot under the explosion?
Uh-huh.
How the fuck do you let a studio model get out like that? Like, it looks so shitty.
Big black line.
You're looking at the model?
You mean underneath the explosion, there's like this...
Yeah, so the seam where the explosion meets the base, on the left-hand side, there's that big dark spot.
What is that?
That's because the base texture, there's a big, like, divot in the ground. And so they just put the flat explosion directly on top of it, and they didn't, like, try and line it up to where it wasn't in, like... They should have either completely covered the divot or not covered the divot, but because it's like halfway on, you could like reach a fucking like bottle opener in there and rip him off the base. It looks so trashy. Like the rest of the model looks really good, but like how do you miss that?
Parker, did you not
modeler,
understand
bro. Come on.
how OCD Brandon actually is?
I didn't for a
slightly.
while.
I'm getting an idea.
He's fucked up. Like it's intense.
He and I actually. This is one of the. This is one of the ways that Brandon and I have always been in complete agreement, which is like when the token is not exactly the same color as the faction. Fuck that shit. Fuck it hard. Burn it to the ground. It's the spider in the house. Burn it all. Like it's just
Useless.
don't like this. This is it. This must be a thing. They're all coordinated together. So now Brandon reaches that with models, and I don't have that so much with models, but I understand. I understand when it's not correct.
I have that with all things.
I'm going to say all things. Did you see his display of the paint rack in the store?
Oh.
That is some psychotic,
paints,
crazy
the
shit.
Scale 75 paints. You saw them.
Oh, yeah, I saw it, but I didn't take a close look.
Yeah, those aren't just lined up because there's like some sort of like rack to do that. That's just psychotic shit. Is what that is.
So there was 6 of each paint. We got 60 paints. And so because they didn't have the paint rack in stock, I lined them up in perfectly straight lines on the glass shelves. with enough space to reach in and grab in between each one.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeremy thinks that's odd instead of just like, I don't know, throwing them in a grocery bag and handing them to people.
No, I only know it's odd because I know you did it. And you did it because you had to.
You know everyone else that works there, and you're like, "Yep, Brandon did this," and
I knew you
compelled.
had to. Not, it wasn't like a want. It was like you had to, or you would have lost your mind.
Yeah. I also did my best to make sure the rows on the first and second shelves lined up, so they're evenly spaced.
Oh, it's American Psycho type shit, man. It's next level.
You should see my basement closet where I keep all the dead people.
You really like Huey Lewis in the News? Big Huey fan?
Yeah. I do like Huey Lewis in the News, actually.
It's all coming together.
I don't use face cream, though. But if I did, I would have a routine. All right, guys. Jeremy, because I know how much you like wrestling, I just posted a YouTube clip in the podcast channel. You need to watch it. It's Always Sunny.
Does he actually like wrestling?
Jeremy does watch wrestling. In fact, the last episode, I had to stop and yell at him to turn the wrestling off because
it was
he
off
wrestling while we were podcasting.
I was not.
It was 100% on while we were podcasting.
A little bit. It was on. I wasn't.
A little bit.
It was a little bit. A little bit.
All right.
Tiny bit.
No, but this is a scene from I don't know what episode. Oh, it's season 12, episode 5. Making a Murderer, and they do a spoof on the show Making a Murderer. And,
I saw this.
They film an episode with their video camera of Making a Murderer, and they try to make Dennis look like he murders his ex-wife. And what is it? It's like halfway through the episode, and they've done a really good job of making it look like he's murdered his wife. And but anyway, he calls Charlie, and he's like, "Charlie, I need you to go tell the police that you know I didn't do it because I was with you." And he's like,
I'm watching it right now.
And he's like, he's clearly watching wrestling. I'm just explaining it for the people listening. He's clearly watching wrestling over the phone because he could hear it. And then he's like, "Turn that off." And he's like, "Uh-huh." And it's like, "Did you just mute it, or did you actually turn it off?" He's like, "Yeah." Just the entire conversation, Charlie's going, "Yeah." I don't know why it's so funny, but it's fucking hilarious. Yeah. That whole episode is just gold.
I guessed it.
Yeah. You hear the bell in the background. Yeah.
No. So?
You were involved.
Yeah, you're my alibi, dude.
I did a chokehold.
You kill people? Yes, and backbreakers, shooters, triple crank fairies.
I do choke slams. Can I go watch wrestling now?
Cat tranquilizers.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of cat stuff.
Jesus Christ!
I didn't know there was a Making a Murder episode.
It's so they're such a good show. The best part of that whole episode, though, is when they call in Dennis for questioning and they put him on the couch, and he has like a 20-minute interview with that detective, and he goes through and he's like, "Yeah, this is what happened. I know this." And he's like, he explains everything, and he's like, he makes everything seem very normal. He's like, "All right, man, I appreciate you coming in and talking to us. You didn't have to. Let me go just clear some stuff with my sergeant. I'll be right back." And the guy leaves the room for an hour and a half. And they check the tape, and Dennis just stares dead-eyed into the camera for an hour and a half and literally doesn't move. He doesn't blink one time in 90 minutes. And he's like, and then it's an interview with the detective later. He's like, "I've been a detective for 54 years. That was haunting. Like, I have never seen. I've witnessed people die. That was the worst thing I've ever seen. It's just like, and then immediately the investigation is back on. It's just like, because he has no soul. He just like didn't know what to do with himself. So he just blankly stares into a camera for 90 minutes until someone comes back in the room.
Okay, I'm looking at that clip right now. I just found it.
Yeah, he's like, this guy 100% killed his wife.
Oh.
When he uses that like low voice and like when Charlie's like kind of mumbling and being all tired about his voice, it's so funny. Cat tranquilizers.
Are you on these cat tranquilizers right now, Charlie? Yeah. Jesus Christ! I love, if you guys, I don't want to give away spoilers, but there's the ending scene is really funny too, but it gives away the whole episode.
Yeah, I've seen it when it came out.
Mm-hmm. We need to have like a movie night where we just watch Always Sunny.
I've been watching it again. I started with season 5 or 6. I think it was season 6, and like every episode in season 6 is fucking brilliant. I forgot how good that season is.
Yeah, so many good episodes. Yeah, there's some off seasons, but even the off seasons usually have like 3 or 4 really good ones still.
Mm-hmm.
Never blinked.
Not once.
That's so funny because I was watching wrestling, but it was on mute in the background.
I know it. I could see the reflection.
I wasn't
in your
watching it though.
Face. I wasn't watching. It was just on, and I was looking at it.
Yeah.
You have kids. I know these excuses.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
Are you watching it? Yeah.
You killed her.
You gotta be my alibi. You're my alibi.
You're also my alibi.
Oh, shoot. Oh, and he's very nice and affable. And he just stares at the camera for 2 hours straight.
Yeah, you could tell he was just putting on like a disguise to look like a human being.
Because he's a sociopath.
Yeah.
Oh.
And there's build up to this episode too. Like throughout the series, multiple times, like you can see that Dennis is becoming less and less human throughout the show, and it gets to the point where he actually like has a candid conversation with Mac at one point. He's like, "Dude, what's your problem?" He's like, "I just want to feel something." He's like, "What do you mean you want to feel something? Like you want to be excited?" He's like, "No, I don't feel anything." It's like, "What do you mean you don't feel anything?" It's like, "I haven't had feelings in years." It's like, "What do you mean you don't have feelings?" He's like, "Everyone has feelings." He's like, "I don't have feelings." He's like, "What?" It's like, "Your mother just died." He's like, "I didn't feel anything." like, oh my God. And then later on, like, he has this really moving speech he gives, like in the next episode at a eulogy. And then Mac pulls him aside. He's like, "Man, that was amazing." And he just goes dead-eyed and like kind of slumps as soon as he's done talking. And you're like, oh my God, it was all an act. Like it just keeps getting worse and worse and building to the point where it starts playing. Like he has these like psychotic breaks in his head where he like imagines himself strangling people, and then like it cuts back to reality and he's just thinking about it. So good. All right. Well, let's get out of here. Let's wrap up.